Hello, everyone. Good afternoon, and a beautiful afternoon it is. Welcome out to Sunken Diamond, getting ready for Game 2 of this three-game series between the Stanford Cardinal and the USC Trojans. Alongside Sarah Ash, I'm Jordan Watkins. And Sarah, right now we're waiting for the umpires to show up so we can have this meeting. But one thing we didn't have to wait for was a good exhibition of small ball yesterday. Both teams really trying to use that to their advantage, and really in that game one situation, it was USC that was able to make that happen.
Yeah, a really good start for USC. Obviously, coming into this game, Stanford with the better record as well within the conference play, having just kicked off conference play for both teams. But a pitching duel it was last night. USC taking it 5-2, keeping Stanford to 5 total hits. And that was really the story of the game. USC aggressive on the base path, and then solid lockdown defense, no errors, and strong pitching coming out of the Trojans' dugout. So we'll see if they can try to repeat it tonight, obviously having kept the Stanford bats pretty quiet, and Stanford trying to come out with a little bit more fire on those bats.
It was one of those things where coming into this game, it was that was the question, right? Which offense is going to find a way to make some things happen more? And you talked about it. Not only was USC able to get people on base, they were able to find a way to manufacture hits or certain at-bats together, right? I mean, we talked about all the sacrifice bunts, sacrifice flies, to the stolen bases, to your point about being on the base pass. And in contrast with Stanford, and one of the things was, we saw someone get picked off being thrown behind at first base. Stanford tried to use the running game as well, but they just couldn't piece certain at-bats together the way USC could.
Yeah, there was never any momentum. And again, ironic because I think, in the pregame we talked about how Stanford had started the season a little rough, but they were carrying some momentum into the game. And on the contrary, USC not really carrying any momentum into the game. And it was quite the opposite story throughout that entire 9 innings. USC able to piece not only base running, but sacrifice bunts, sacrifice flies, and a few hits together to get those 5 runs. And Stanford, with a couple of base runners and multiple left-stranded, like you said, not really able to piece together something. And I think a lot of that is attributed to a lot of production coming out the bottom of the lineup for the Trojans yesterday. And that was the difference maker.
For USC, that was win number 2 on the road this season. Now overall, they have the 5-12 record with a 2-2 record in the Pac-12 conference. Meanwhile, for Stanford, they are 8-8, and they are 2-2 as well inside of Pac-12 play. And as we're getting ready to go, the head coaches are talking to the umpires. Let's talk about the starting lineup here. First off, for USC, leading off, it's going to be Austin Overn. Number 2 spot, it's going to be Jacob Galloway, same place he was yesterday as well. Ryan Jackson is in that 3 spot. Kevin Takeuchi in the cleanup spot. Ethan Hedges batting 5th. Dean Carpentier bats 6th. Carson Wells will bat 7th. Avery Covarrubias will be batting 8th. He's new into the lineup in terms of this weekend. And Braden Dowd will round things out. And Sarah, for Stanford, they're going to be going up against a lefty freshman who we talked about for Matt Scott yesterday, Pac-12 Pitcher of the Week. It helps for Stanford. You have 2 Pac-12 Pitchers of the Week that get to go back-to-back on Friday and Saturday, as Christian Lim is one of those as well.
Yeah, I mean, we can talk about both of these pitchers here. Obviously, taking the mound for the Trojans, Tyler Stromsberg, the senior. We can chat about him, but you mentioned Christian Lim, so let's put a pin in that and let's head to Christian Lim. Also, Pitcher of the Week for the Pac-12. That was on March 4th. So back-to-back Pitcher of the Week's performances for the Cardinal here, and one started last night and the other starting tonight, or this afternoon, in Christian Lim. Just a freshman. And, I mean, as a freshman posting incredible numbers, let's look at that performance that got him Pitcher of the Week at Rice University. He got the win. He pitched 6 full innings, allowed only 3 hits, 1 walk, and he struck out 10 batters. Just incredible stats there for Lim, and hopefully Stanford can ride that into another good pitching performance tonight.
It's one of the things, again, while Stanford in this offense, they're still working on figuring things out. We talked about it before in pregame yesterday. Such a young, inexperienced lineup. You think about, again, what Stanford's been able to do these last few years. So many of those players are now gone, so it's a question of, in that lineup, who's going to be able to step up And it's been good, though, to see that some of these younger pitchers have been able to step up and kind of get going in that regard as well.
Absolutely, and a couple changes to Stanford's lineup as well that we'll come on to as they come up to the plate. But, with two new players in the lineup stuck right in the middle of the order there, obviously the coaches are hoping for just kind of a shakeup in the order because those bats really weren't firing, not able to put a lot of hits together yesterday, and hopefully those couple changes will change that.
Yeah, of course, it's still early in the season, trying to see what works. But speaking of Stanford players, let's see how they're going to line up defensively. So, of course, behind the plate, as you could expect, Malcolm Moore will be there over that first. You have Jimmy Nadai. Owen Cobb, the lone senior in the starting lineup, is at second. You have Timo Becerra over at third. And at short, it's Trevor Haskins from left to right. A little bit of change from what we saw yesterday. Jake Sapien is going to be in left. Ethan Hott will be in center. And Brady Reynolds over in right for David Esker, who early on in his tenure here at Stanford has been absolutely phenomenal. Again, this is a Stanford team coming off of back-to-back College World Series appearances. You look at, of course, what went on there. There was the shocker to Vanderbilt the first year that they were there. I believe they lost to Arkansas that next year. So now it's a completely different-looking team. Again, a lot of those stars and the names are gone from what led them get to that point. So they're trying to figure out who is going to be that next line of stars for Stanford.
Yeah, absolutely. Last year they ranked in the top five of all-time Stanford stats in a lot of offensive categories, including batting average, home runs, RBIs, and total bases. Since last year, they lost quite a few players who contributed to that. So we talked a lot about yesterday how they're trying to lean back in to true Stanford baseball and what this program was built on, which is defense and pitching, and that's really what they're hoping to lean into. And what a way to start it than pitcher of the week for a Friday night starter and a pitcher of the week for a Saturday afternoon starter.
Not a bad time right now for Stanford to rely on the pitching. Also, not a bad time to be at Sunken Diamond. A beautiful day right now in the 70s in the Bay Area as we get ready to go. Of course, I know a lot of you might have these big St. Patrick's Day plans going on, but while those are on hold till tomorrow, we thank you for tuning in as we get ready to go at Stanford, lefty on lefty, getting ready to go, and it's going to be Austin Overn against Christian Lim. Yesterday for Overn, 2 for 4 day at the plate. Also reached on a walk as well. Had an RBI. And also scored a run. So a very productive day for the sophomore USC. And first pitch, showing bunt, low and away, ball one. We're underway here at Stanford. First pitch here at 2:08. Just a few minutes behind. It's okay to be fast and be late. As that's popped up, it's going to be out of play.
And a beautiful day and a sunny day. I think that might affect some pop-ups here, as we have mentioned before, tons of foul ground. And for these players chasing it, having to look directly into the sun right now at 2 p.m. could prove to be a little difficult.
And sun right now, as it looks, is pretty much right over the field as that's lined and ripped over to right for a base hit. So Overn continues his solid start to this weekend with the leadoff single. And now Jacob Galloway will come up with nobody out and one on.
Galloway having a huge year, leading the team in batting average right now, also OPS, hits, and RBIs. And we'll see if USC is aggressive as they were last night. I'll be surprised to see if they are equally aggressive, especially with a lefty on the mound right now for Stanford. A little bit easier for Christian Lim to check the runner at first base than it would have been for a righty last night in Matt Scott.
Of course, a big part of it, too. The story of the game is that's in foul territory, and Becerra can't get there. But a big part of what happened yesterday, remember, this is when USC got that lead early on in the game. That first run in the first. Of course, Stanford did answer in the second. But after that, for the most part, it was all USC until Court McDonald had the solo home run over to right field in the ninth. It wasn't enough as USC had the 5-2 win. So the Trojans right now looking to threat early once again. Fastball just missing. 1-1. Galloway on the year, 381 for USC. 2 home runs, 14 driven in. There's that throw over by Lim.
Yeah, right away we see that, and I think Stanford being very aware of just how aggressive USC have been. Like I said, I'd be surprised to see them be just as aggressive. It's just harder to steal on a left-handed pitcher.
Yeah, like we said, coming into it, these teams, at least from the offensive perspective, so similar coming in as there's a fly ball going towards foul territory. And I'll be caught by Haskins, calling everybody else out for out number 1.
Well, it starts early, the commentator's curse. I eat my words once again. Hit and run was on for USC, so a peek into what they're thinking, being aggressive early, and why not? It worked for them last night.
Yeah, it makes sense. Both teams, again, trying to find their rhythm and timing at the plate. Stanford coming in as a team batting .245, USC .227 to this game today. So, again, whenever that's the case, and, of course, for Stanford, as we talked about, those back-to-back pitchers of the week, if you're USC, you got to do all those little things to make things manufacture and make it happen.
Mm-hmm.
So Ryan Jackson at the plate now. One of the 2 seniors in the lineup for USC today. 3 technically if you want to include the pitcher Tyler Stromsborg as well.
Yeah, Jackson having a good game yesterday as well. Jackson batting .224 on the season, but actually batting .333 with runners on base.
See there again, Stanford being very attentive over at first base. Solid steal attempt early already for Austin Over. And overall in the year, 7 of 9 when it comes to his stolen base attempts. Of course, it isn't MLB rules here. You don't have the 2 throwovers. Can still be as many as you want to need. There is the pitch clock though, so there's that one thing that you're curious about. There goes Over, and here's the throw down by Moore, and it's going to be late. Great jump by Austin Over for stolen base number 8 on the season. And similar again to yesterday, Sarah, here's USC being aggressive on the base pass with a runner in scoring position.
Yeah, and this is what Austin Overn brings. I mean, beyond obviously got a base hit to get on base, but once he reaches base, there's so many things he can do with that speed. And that's what you want in a leadoff hitter, somebody who can be aggressive on the base path. And we've seen him do this already so many times, put himself in scoring position. And there's really nothing Stanford can do about that. I mean, checking the runner multiple times, it was a slower pitch to home plate, but even that it wouldn't have necessarily given Moore the jump he needed to get that throw down to second.
It's almost felt like to me USC might be picking up on a certain tendency with Stanford, just in the standpoint of how many times Stanford might throw over before they actually go home. Because, again, like you said, obviously it's very tough to steal second when you have a lefty on the mound. But even when Stanford had the righties out there yesterday, how often did we see there's a moment as they throw over again, but back in time is Over and almost wandered a little too far off the bag.
I like that from Stanford, though. Why not? If there's no rule about how many times you can check the runner, just keep checking him and make sure that he's exactly where you want him to be. Again, we've seen that the Trojans are not afraid to steal third, especially when there's a right-handed batter up.
Pull the string, why don't you, for strike 1 to Jackson. 78 miles an hour on the gun for that one. But again, just yesterday you saw it where maybe after that 3rd or 4th time, Stanford checks over. USC's ready and aggressive to go take off. There's another one off speed is in there as well for strike 2 to even the count.
Right away, it really does look like Austin Overn getting in Christian Lim's head a little bit. Lim needs to just focus in on the batter right now and take care of what he needs to do at the plate. 2-2 now, and he's a chance for a strikeout here.
Over on the left side, good play by Becerra at third. Throws over to first, route number 2. Oh, that's exactly what you want. Ground ball over on the left side. You can't advance the runner. Now, runner still at second with 2 down.
Yeah, once again, a good job by Christian Lim, and that's what he needs to keep doing, is just focusing in, especially now with 2 outs. Just focusing in on the plate. Not necessarily letting the runner just do what he wants, but focusing in on the plate and not letting him get in your head and kind of steal your focus mentally. And
throw back again to second.
if you can see the smoke through this stream, which you can't really, but it should be noted, there is some barbecue happening once again here at the Sunken Diamond.
We're going to tell Ethan Cardoza, our great producer, that we'll be on our best behavior, so that way maybe you can pick up something for us here in the middle innings once we get on later. Fastball high, ball 1. And this should be a day where, you kind of treat us a little bit, right? It's a good day. It's a day of happiness and celebration. It's Austin 316 day, right? If you're a WWE fan, Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Beautiful spring day finally here in the Bay Area after plenty of rain, which I'm sure if you're a Stanford Cardinal fan, you witnessed many rain delays, be it in baseball or softball just a couple weeks ago.
Well, you had some of those softball calls, right?
I did, yeah.
I hit the other way, foul. 1-1.
Lim taking his time on the mound. You see, if you can see the pitch clock far out in the outfield, it's counting down all the way to 5, 4, maybe even 3 seconds by the time he gets that pitch off. He's taking his time. He's checking the runner. He's making sure that over and on second knows he's fully aware and he's not afraid to throw backwards.
And a big lead at second for Overn as that pitch is a little low. 2-1 now to the cleanup hitter here, Kevin Takeuchi.
And you see Lim just scraping his cleats off every time as he stares down over and after every pitch. I don't think he necessarily needs to scrape his cleats.
Chopper to short off the bag was Nadai, but does a good job applying the tag for out number 3. So leadoff hitter gets on for USC, gets to second. Good, nothing else doing after that. We're done with the first half of the first inning. We'll keep it here so we can tell you even a little bit more about the Stanford lineup and the pitcher that they will be going up against. First off, for the Cardinal, leading off today is going to be Ethan Hott with Brady Reynolds right behind him, riding a 6-game hit streak. Jimmy Natai is batting third in cleanup spot. We saw him batting second yesterday is Malcolm Moore. Jake Sapien, who wasn't in the lineup yesterday, bats fifth. Brandon Larson, your designated hitter, will bat sixth. Timo Becerra will bat seventh. Trevor Haskins right behind him, batting eighth. And the lone senior for Stanford in the lineup today, Owen Cobb, rounds out the lineup as they go against a senior, being Tyler Stromsborg.
Yeah, I like the switch-ups here for Stanford. Jake Sapien and Brandon Larson entering the lineup. They did not play yesterday, so some fresh legs and some fresh bats. And then we see Malcolm Moore move from second in the lineup down to that cleanup spot. Malcolm Moore's had the hot hand recently, and it'll be nice to see him hitting in that cleanup, and it'll be nice to see him hitting right beneath Jimmy Nadai and see what that combination is like for the Stanford Cardinal.
Yeah, and then, again, who they're going up against, that senior from Newport Beach, California, Tyler Stromsborg, who is making start number 5 on the year, right now sitting at 0-3 with a 5.95 ERA. He's gone 19 2/3 innings of work, getting up 25 hits, 14 runs, 13 of those have been earned, with 19 strikeouts and 7 walks. Opponents batting .312 against him.
Yeah, last year he was their Friday night starter, started 13 games Friday night last year. He had 4 wins In those 13 games, he led USC in innings pitched and was second in strikeouts.
And got the losses last time out against Arizona. Went 5 innings in that one. Gave up 6 runs. All of those were earned. 9 hits. And 2 of those hits left the yard. Those were the first 2 home runs he's given up all season. Starts off with a strike to the sophomore Ethan Hott. Comes in batting .281 this year. The 2 runs driven in, hasn't left the yard. Of course, we did see the leadoff hitter for Stanford yesterday, Court McDonald, leave the yard in that 9th inning.
Yeah, Hott 0 for 3 yesterday, batting 8th in the lineup. He'll try to change that around as the leadoff hitter, but actually batting leadoff on the season, he's batting .400. So perhaps a better spot for Ethan Hott than what he saw yesterday, batting 8th.
High fly ball in the shallow left. Wells looks like he is under it and makes the grab for out number 1. We talked about it. The ball does fly better here during the day than it usually does at the nighttime, but right now, really not much wind going at all. Looking at the flags out in center field being pretty still. So if you're going to get one out, it really has to be all of you putting the power in at the plate. 1 up, 1 down as Brady Reynolds comes up.
Reynolds 1 for 4 yesterday. And in that first at bat, Hott only saw 4 pitches. I'd like to see Brady Reynolds get a little deeper into the count and force Stromsburg into a few more pitches in this inning.
A freshman with now a 6-game hitting streak that he extended last night. And in .316 right now for Stanford. 1-1. Popped up. And hear the conversation out in the outfield. That's the center fielder over and calling everybody else out. 2 batters, 2 flyouts in the shallow outfield. And now Jimmy Nadai will come to the plate.
And once again, a 3-pitch at bat there. 1 pitch less than the first at bat. And if you're Stanford, once again, that's not what you want. You want to at least force deep into the count here.
Well, part of it, too, might be they think they're seeing something pretty good out of the hand. It's just you're a little bit off. Now, here's one person who hasn't been off very much to start this season, batting .383 for Stanford. And Christopher Gonzalez calling balls and strikes today. Joe Maiden's over at first, Bradley Hungerford at second, and Patrick Riley is at third.
It's a good take by Nadai, the sophomore out of Sydney, Australia. You mentioned he hasn't been off too much this year, leading the team in batting average, OPS, on-base percentage, slugging percentage, and hits.
That one a little bit in on the hands, sawed-off foul. And you look at it right now, here's Stanford in game number 17. And Jimmy Nadai with an OPS still over 1,000. And he has played in and started every single game for Stanford so far this year. One of 4 Stanford players in the lineup that has that accolade to them so far. As there is a strike on the fastball, count even 2-2. Nadai, Malcolm Moore, Timo Becerra, and Owen Cobb are the 4 Stanford regulars that have started and played in every single game so far. 2-2. Up the middle, and that will get down for the first hit for Stanford of the game.
A great at bat there from Nadai, getting deeper into the count, finding his pitch, and you mentioned that they might be seeing something across the board. 3 batters have all made contact, so perhaps something to latch on to there. They might be seeing that well.
Yeah, there's something, again, you talked about it, like you said, even some of those the first 2 hitters at the flyouts, but they're on it, and it's so interesting, the differences in pitchers. You saw what Aoki was able to do yesterday. Again, lives like if the fastball would be kind of in the low 90s. Same thing right now for Stromsburg. Kind of lives in the low 90s as well. Of course, he has his off-speed pitches that'll be more in the lower 80s. But still a different look a different feel to the game that the two pitchers have, and right now it seems like Stanford might be a little bit more on it today. And here's someone that, if they really get on one, they can really get a hold of it, and that's Malcolm Moore. Right now this year batting 186, but leading the team with 5 home runs and 12 runs driven in. And had such a impressive freshman season. Helps Stanford get back to Omaha once again. And hits that one hard on the ground and through over on the right side. Nadi is going to take over to third. Good aggressive base running there, and Stanford's going to have runners on the corners with 2 down.
You saw Nadi didn't even pick his head up. He put his head down right when that ball went off the bat. He was going 1-3, no questions about it. I like that aggressiveness from Stanford there.
Back-to-back singles now for Stanford. Potentially has them in business. And again, of course, if you're a team that's really looking to make some things happen and go on offense, this is exactly the start that you want. You have some traffic on the base paths. You just put some hits together. Now you just got to take advantage of it and see if Jake Sapien can do just that. First pitch swinging, fouled it back, good cut.
And 2 singles back-to-back, already more than we saw out of Stanford last night.
And we talked about it for Stanford, 5 hits in total, but they were so scattered out amongst each other. Nice curveball, thing of beauty for a strike.
Jake Sapien, one of the new additions to the lineup since last night. Sapien, the junior from California, didn't appear in games in 2022 and 2023. Started 27 of the 33 he appeared in, batted .301 on the year.
And the ball gets away. They can't find it. That's going to bring home a run. Galloway did a good job, at least initially, of keeping the ball in front of him, but once it bounced up, he couldn't locate it. And so Jimmy Nadi comes around to score. Malcolm Moore moves up to second, and Stanford is now the team that's going to have the first inning lead today.
And what a way to kick it off, and that strong base running. And the trend continues here. The team in the lead is the team that's able to put together some strong base running on the base paths.
And we usually always talk about the foul territory here, and that if it gets past the catcher, that means you can get extra 90 feet. Usually don't say that too much about one that stands right in front of them. There's a ground ball over to what's short. Here's the throw to first, and a good job keeping first base is Carpentier for out number 3. But Stanford able to get on the board early here after a pair of singles and a wild pitch. We go to the second. Cardinal in front, 1-0. Here we go, getting ready for the top of the second inning. Christian Lim looking for that shutdown inning as Stanford was able to get the run across on 2 hits in the bottom of the first. They'll be going up against 5, 6, and 7 for the Trojans. Starting off with Ethan Hedges, the third baseman, hitting 170 in his sophomore year. That's the first pitch, strike 1. Hedges yesterday was 0 for 3, but did get a run in. Again, USC doing the small ball to manufacture the offense yesterday. So you'll see a lot of sacrifices if you look at that box score in the game last night. That one just missing outside. 2-1.
Brand new home plate umpire, Christopher Gonzalez, behind the plate today. Always different to adjust to each different home plate umpires, just ever so slightly different strike zone, right?
Of course, it was so fun. You get to where we get to sit, Sarah. You hear the crowd reaction to certain balls and strikes, and let's just say there were some people that didn't agree with some of the calls from last night with Patrick Riley when he was behind the plate.
Yeah, there were some agreements, but there were more disagreements.
There you go. It's fouling away, so we'll have a full count.
But as you said yesterday, there's only one opinion that matters. And it was none of the ones that we heard from the stands, and it was neither of ours.
And it wasn't ours either, exactly. Here's a payoff. Swing and a miss, strike 3. First strikeout on the afternoon for Christian Lim. And it's a good start to the second inning as now there's 1 down. as Dean Carpentier will come to the plate.
Yeah, that off speed, you can just see the timing was off for Hedges swinging through it before it even reached the mitt of Malcolm Moore. Beautiful pitch there from Christian Lim.
If you haven't seen too much, so Matt Scott, remember his fastball was up in the mid-90s as Hot barely has to move for out number 2.
Well, that's called efficiency right there.
Absolutely. There's a reason why they have all the cards and the things on the wristbands that tell you where to line up. But, you know, Scott, he was in the mid-90s a lot with his fastball, and that's how he was able to manipulate a lot of the USC batters. Had his off-speed be in the 80s, but right now it's a little bit different in terms of Christian Lim sits more so upper 80s, low 90s with his fastball. You see that curveball can get down into the 70s. That's been the difference between the two pitchers so far.
Absolutely. Also just a different look, righty versus lefty, where the release point is. Lefties tend to be a little more out there in the release point, less above the head. So just where you're picking the ball up, it can just be an adjustment for the first couple times that you're seeing that ball come out.
One of the fun things, too, that I was always told, there's a natural movement, if you will, for lefties when they're pitching, where I even think about some of the days when I was a pitcher as there's strike 1, 2-1 count. I'll just throw fastballs. I'm thinking I'm throwing the ball straight. And if some of my teammates are in the batter's box, like, how'd you make that move? I didn't do anything. I just threw a regular 2-seamer, 4-seamer. Nice play over at short. Oh, my goodness. Trevor Haskins.
What a way to end the inning there.
There's that Stanford defense we've been talking about. Going to the bottom of the second now. Still 1-0 Stanford. Well, if you're Christian Lim, you got that shutdown inning. Thanks in part to you got that first run in that first inning, and Stanford, they're really doing that great job. The old traditional, you get a runner on, you get them over, and you get them in. As you see the path that Jimmy Nadai had around the bases.
Yeah, Nadai hitting that lead, that single to kick off the hits really, and the scoring for Stanford, going 1-3 on that single from Moore, and then coming home on that wild pitch for the one run we've seen in this game. Good base running there from Jimmy Nadai.
Of course, again, when you're positioning you're in with Stanford right now offensively, you take whatever you can get, manufacture it however you can. As right now, it's Brandon Larson, the DH. A 1-1 count. Larson batting 143 early on in the season. It's that the other way. That might find some groom, and it does. It gets down.
Opposite field. You love to see that.
Yeah, a little bit off the bat, but you know what? All that matters is if you look at the box score at the end of the day, that looks like a laser into the outfield. And now Stanford with their leadoff hitter on here in the second inning.
Yeah, and Brandon Larson, for him, his first hit as a leadoff batter this year, that should give him some confidence. Obviously, he's the second addition to this lineup, didn't play last night, and he gets his first hit of this series.
Now Timo Becerra coming up. 1 on, nobody out. First pitch swinging, and that gets through over on the left side as well. Staying at second will be Larson. But you see the Stanford bats making that contact, coming alive here right now. Back-to-back singles once again. Still nobody out here in the second inning.
Yeah, back-to-back we saw in the first inning, and now once again in the second, and suddenly Tyler Stromsburg finds himself in a bit of a jam, 2 on and nobody out, and Trevor Haskins, who made that diving play to end the top of the second, up to the plate.
Well, how many times, Sarah, have we seen you make a web gem out in the field, you do something well at the plate?
And once again, we're seeing some small ball here. Haskins showing bunt.
I put it down foul.
Mention a web gem. Hope to see that on some Sports Center top 10 maybe.
That's what's so fun about what we do here at Stanford is you heard that Sports Center jingle at the end of it, right, once he made the play? They're kind of on top of it around here. It's almost like this is a smart people place. I don't know. But then whatever reason, they allow me to be here too.
Got some good people producing here today. and then somehow we got in the door.
That's the crazy thing about it. They've led me in the door here like 2 or 3 times now. Some kind of way they said I was smart enough to go here. Even Julia's over here next to me saying, I don't know what's going on, how they let him in too.
Haskins showing bunt again.
That one fouled back on the bunt attempts. And we saw a couple situations yesterday as well where Stanford did have that 2-strike count and they decided not to bunt. We'll see what happens here. Right now, Larson at second, Becerra's over at first.
Always a tricky situation. Obviously, you want to avoid grounding into that double play, which we saw happen for Stanford yesterday. But you don't want to try for a sacrifice bunt and then strike out off of that bunt. So we'll see what happens. I imagine that Trevor Haskins will get that green light.
One thing, too, about Stanford that's pretty good in this situation, I know that you look at the batting average, 203 for Owen Cobb, but having a senior that is on deck in a certain situation like this, talk about the advantages of potentially having basically a second leadoff hitter in that 9 spot. Freaking all that experience that Owen Cobb has had, you figure and think that that batting average will start to round out over time. 1-2. Swung on, I believe, was it foul tipped? Yes, it was. Let's call it for strike 3. Couldn't tell there for a second if that hit the ground, at least from the sound that we heard before it got into the mitts of Galloway, but
yeah, looking at that replay, looks like it did not. It just it had that steep drop on it. Beautiful pitch right there from Tyler Stromsburg.
The 2 on now, 1 down in the bottom of the second for Stanford. And here's the aforementioned Owen Cobb being aggressive, swung through the first pitch though, 0-1.
Cobb 1 for 3 yesterday. Batted in that 9 spot once again yesterday. He had a single and he stole second. Some speed added to the bottom of the lineup here for the Cardinal. And still just 1 out. So still some room if they would like for a sacrifice bunt.
Again, just a reminder, this is what Owen Cobb was able to do last year. Hit 324, 6 homers, drove in 32. 0-2, does a good job, keep staying alive, fouls it off. It was a Pac-12 all-conference honorable mention. And here's one thing, too, that he did really well, and this is a situation that he is in. He was really good at those runner on base situations. Trying to come through again. 0-2, swung on and missed. Nice pitch down in the zone for strike 3 from Tyler Stromsburg.
And Stromsburg getting himself out of a jam. 2 singles to lead it off, and he comes back with 2 strikeouts back to back. And suddenly, as we take a look at this, once again, that sinker, it's just got such a steep curve on it. Getting Haskins and then Cobb back to back. Suddenly, instead of 2 on and no out, it's 2 on and 2 outs for Stromsburg.
Thanks to the back-to-back strikeouts. So back to the top of the lineup for Stanford. There's Ethan Hott. If you're here at Sunken Diamond, it's pretty easy to know when he's at the plate, as Hot in Here plays by Nelly. Pretty great play on words.
Once again, such a great team producing here.
0-1. Off speed, got him out in front.
And that first pitch that Hot saw hit 90 miles an hour on that radar, and that off speed, 78. 12-mile-an-hour difference between the two.
Stromsburg could be potentially 1 pitch away here from getting out of a situation where he saw 2 base runners with nobody out. Did a good job by Hott to stay alive, fouls it off.
Yeah, Ethan Hott made good contact flying out to left field in his first at-bat. Good job there to stay alive and see what he can do. .200 hitter this year with
2 outs. Here's the 0-2. Stays alive again. You can hear that cheering from the Stanford dugout right now, really applauding the efforts to stay alive.
Yeah, you can see that coming off of the bottom of his bat. It's that sinker once again that got Cobb and Haskins, and this time Hott able to see it well enough to just foul it off and see another pitch.
Sitting right around 91, 92. Does it again.
Off speed, 79 miles an hour. Hott just reaching for that. But a good job once again for Hott to stay alive, and he's just protecting now, waiting for that pitch that he wants.
That's exactly it. If you look at these swings, he's not trying to do too much with any of them except for live to see another pitch. Doing a good job of it. 0-2 once again. Fouls it back again.
Better contact there. You can see he's starting to see it and get that timing down. 91 mile an hour fastball. It's that off-speed sinker that's really getting them. Hott seeing that fastball a little bit better there.
Of course, the more pitches you can see at the plate, the better timing you get. The more good pitches you foul off and you get one you can do damage with, but not theirs. There's a swing and a miss for strike 3. So how about that impressive response from Tyler Stromsborg? 2 singles back-to-back for Stanford. He answers it with 3 strikeouts as we're going to go to the top of the third with Stanford still in front 1-0. Seen a little bit more action on the base pass early on in this one than we did yesterday. Top of the third. USC trailing 1-0. There's the foul back by Avery Covarrubias. Freshman batting 184 this year with 2 RBIs. Showing bunt, gets one down, and it's fielded in foul territory. Very late call there by Christopher Gonzalez. It almost looked that there for a second. I thought that Malcolm Moore would have had him at first, but
yeah. Once again, let's take a look at it here. Moore making the decision to keep that in bounds and decide to get the runner at first. He tries to keep it in.
Ooh, that's close.
It's a close call. Now, on the flip side, you could say dangerous decision by Moore, because if he had picked that up in bounds and then Covarrubias would have beat the throw, you would have been sitting here saying, you know, maybe not the right decision. But here we are. Once again, our opinion isn't the one that matters. Foul is called. But I like the decision by Covarrubias. Again, small ball, trying to catch Stanford. I mean, you see where Becerra is playing third baseman for Stanford, and you can see why Covarrubias wanted to catch him out, perhaps with that bunt down the third baseline.
I also like the reaction from Malcolm Moore there, because he knows he made such a great play, right, to get out of that catcher stance, get a strong throw over to first. He wanted that one to count.
Trojans keeping Moore busy behind the plate in this series with all of the runners on base, stolen bases, sacrifice bunts, and so forth. He's got his work cut out for him.
One, two. Chopper on the infield. Becerra, one down.
Dowd, one of the other 2 changes into the USC lineup today. Of course, the first being Covarrubias, and now Braden Dowd, right fielder, coming up to the plate. This will be his first at-bat of this series.
We did see him come in later on in the game yesterday. Did not record an at-bat. First pitch in there on the outside corner for strike 1.
It's good framing there for Malcolm Moore.
It's the one thing that it's, to your point, it might not get as much notoriety for Malcolm Moore just because of how great he is as an offensive threat. But again, as we talked about, you think about what he did helping to lead this pitching staff for Stanford last year as a freshman.
Mm-hmm.
Just shows you how good he is defensively as well. Check swing, but Patrick Riley says no, that Dowd didn't go.
Yeah, Malcolm Moore, there's a reason he was Pac-12 preseason all-conference, perfect game preseason All-America second team. It's the work he's doing behind the plate, not just on offense. Some would say Buster Posey-esque.
Of course, you would bring up that reference as a Giants fan. It's fouled back, counted now full. Not that far away now, though, from MLB opening day as well.
Look at that. Looks like it got a very weird deflection. And at full count, Dowd takes the walk.
That one missed high, so Dowd will be over at first. And it's back on that opening day point as we go back to the top of the lineup now with Auvergne. A lot of changes in that roster and lineup for the Giants from last year to this year. Of course, I know they're excited. I know one of the players I'm excited to see, of course, being a Braves fan, is Jorge Soler is now in that lineup, who was the World Series MVP for Atlanta in 2021.
You took the Brave references in because I got the
I
Giants
have
reference
to.
in. That's how it goes.
If you're on a broadcast with me, you will never fail to hear about Atlanta at least once. At least once.
Over and up at the plate, hit a single and was left stranded. The singular hit that USC has right now belongs to Austin Auvergne.
In case if you're wondering, too, as well, Braden Dowd over at first is not registered a stolen base attempt this year. You know, we did see Austin Auvergne steal second when he was on base. There's a beautiful curveball. Goes back in. Had Auvergne trying to get out of there, but it finds the corner.
USC doing a great job once again of getting deep into the count, seeing a lot of pitches right now. Christian Lim on 37 pitches, and we're only in the third. Make that 38.
There's one thing I know he's thinking about right now, what he'd love to see, especially with this lefty-lefty matchup, get a ground ball to one of those infielders as he'll throw over to first. Now getting ready. The 2-2 count to reigning freshman All-American was Auvergne last year, and a swing and a miss. Beautiful pitch that just tailed out of the zone. And there is out the number 2.
Yeah, 78 mile an hour. Got that off speed and that movement on it, and it just completely tied up Austin Auvergne. And let's take a look at that there. Had him completely off balance and reaching, and as soon as you got that much weight on your front foot, you know you might be in trouble.
Yeah, when you see a hitter pretty much almost go down to a knee, they get the runner going early, throw to second, there won't be one. Stanford got what they wanted. They had Dowd leaning, but still was able to take second. There's USC once again being aggressive on the base paths.
Yeah, unfortunate for Stanford. They read it well. Let's take a look at it here. Just puts his head down and goes. Dowd just seemingly with the confidence that he's got the speed, and at that point he had nothing left to do. Couldn't go back, and he just put his head down and went for it.
In one of those situations, if you're going to go, you just got to go. Stick with your decision. Now runner in scoring position for USC, the second time they've had that in 2 innings. Second time they've had in 2 of the 3 innings here. As there's the strike. 0-1 to Galloway. Popped out his last time up.
LA playing a bit of a different role on this Trojans team than he did last year. We see the throw to second just to check the runner. Last year, he only appeared in 24 games, started 19 of those, but he did bat .365. He's top on the team and drove in 11 runs on the year, and this year leads the team in batting average, OPS, hits, and RBIs, and Galloway hitting second today, and a lot rides on the shoulders of Galloway here, the sophomore out of California.
Yeah, outside of Harvard, Westlake, of course, down in Southern California. Very well known for the athletes that they produce. Now it's a 1-1 count. If Galloway were to reach, you see Jackson be next. Pulled string on him once again, 1-2.
Lim looking like he's getting a little bit more comfortable pitching from the stretch. Seemed to be a little uncomfortable with it early on in this game. Slowly working his way back into it, getting mentally focused and pitching a little bit better from the stretch here.
1-2, shallow contact. That's going to get down. They're going to bring the runner home. There will be no throw in from the outfield. Sapien throws it back in, and USC ties it up. It's an RBI single for Galloway as Dowd scores. The stolen base pays off. We're tied at 1.
Yeah, a bit of a looping ball there, and once again, aggressive base running coming from second. Dowd didn't even stop to see if Stanford, by chance, could have caught that. He just put his head down and went, and once again, pays off for USC as they tie it up.
It looked like it was going to be shallow enough where Jake Sapien was going to have a chance to have a play at the plate and thought otherwise about it. And that, again, that's just one of those situations where if Christian Lim, they get that pickoff attempt over at first, more than likely right now the situation would be you have runners on first and second for USC rather than a runner on first and the runners come in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, big difference there. Once again, Lim pitching from the stretch now.
And just missing. Pretty good location. Malcolm Moore approved of it as well. Now it's sitting at a 3-0 count. To the 3-hole hitter here, Ryan Jackson. Talk about Stanford in their lineup, having one senior, only 2 for USC. And that's inside as Jackson earns a 4-pitch walk.
Yeah, and that's not what you want to see if you're Stanford. As I mentioned, Christian Lim seemed like he might be getting a little more comfortable from that stretch, but perhaps not right now. And I think this conversation is just, hey, settle down. There's 2 outs. You just need 1 more. There's only runners on first and second, so let's just focus on getting that ground ball, getting that fly out, or getting that strikeout, and just focus on the batter at hand right now.
Of course, there might be a certain situation there as well. You don't want to make a mistake to the senior at the plate, but now you'll have that freshman matchup. And, of course, when you look at what Kevin Takeuchi has done, especially what he did in his high school career, more than your ordinary freshman out of Rancho Bernardo High School down in San Diego. At 520 that senior year. Of course, earned a lot of All-American honors.
Yeah, more of a difficult start to the year, though. College ball is different, and Takeuchi averaging just over 200, hitting 205 on the season. If you look at runners on base situations, he's batting under 100 on the season with runners on the base path.
This will be interesting to see here. Usually your rule of thumb would be on a 4-pitch walk, you want to take this first pitch. Of course, sometimes people love to say after a mound visit, that first pitch will be a strike. Get me over, if you will. We'll see what his approach is. Taking it all the way, and it's in for strike 1. Almost seemed like, to an extent, Christian Lim and the Stanford brass thought the same thing, so they went with the off-speed there instead of the fastball.
Yeah, I think the off-speed's been working here for Lim. I like that he started off with that.
Malcolm Moore making a couple defensive changes. That's fouled, and I think that'll reach out of play. Yes, it will.
Souvenir for the fans over
Take
there.
off, kids. Little do they know, once they get about 25 years older, they'll probably have to stretch before they run to get after a ball like that. Enjoy it while you can.
Suddenly 0-2 the count now. Lim just one strike away from getting out of this.
0-2. Check swing. No, they said foul tip and caught by Moore, so there is out number 3. So Christian Lim reduces the damage to just 1 run in the inning. We'll go to the bottom of the 3rd. We're now tied at 1. USC ties things up in the top of the 3rd inning as we get ready for the bottom of the 3rd. You see right now what Tyler Stromsborg's been able to do to limit Stanford to 1 run of damage. The 3 strikeouts that he's had so far. Again, not really overpowering Stanford, but it's all about location and the change of the quadrants.
Yeah, those first 2, sinker, and Stromsborg at the end of the last inning had 2 on, and he struck out 3 to end the inning. All 3 of his strikeouts right there.
22 now for Stromsborg on the year. Stanford goes 2-3-4 in the bottom of the 3rd. Again, 1-1. USC that 1 run on 2 hits. Stanford 1 run on 4 hits. Just in comparison, it was 5 hits in the whole ball game for Stanford yesterday. There's a good cut, fouled back.
That one was coming right for us.
That was really going right towards your way, but something tells me you were going to be all over it if it came this way.
You were right.
I know it.
Yeah. Didn't bring my mitt, but I think I could have barehanded that.
Ground ball on the right side, foul. No, I know you played in college, a sport where you use your feet, but that doesn't mean that the hands can't be there as well either.
Hey, and most college athletes played other sports growing up too.
Exactly. There you go. So what else was there? I know I know soccer for sure.
A little bit of softball.
Okay.
A little bit of basketball.
There we go.
Sports that you can use your hands, not just your feet.
Yeah, some of those sports, if you use your feet, there might be a problem that's going on with that. Here's a 1-2. Up the middle, and that will find the outfield grass for a base hit. Good piece of hitting there for Brady Reynolds. Extend that hit streak now to 7 games, and Stanford has a leadoff hitter on once again.
Yeah, the freshman from Bakersfield, he made good contact with that. Let's look at this, and almost such good contact. It looked like it might even stay in the air. You mentioned during the day that ball can kind of hang up there here at the Sunken Diamond, but beautiful hit there right in the center field for Brady Reynolds. A leadoff single once again for the Cardinal. That's the 3rd inning in a row that the Cardinal have a single in.
And a lot more traffic on the base pass than we saw yesterday. Reynolds looking like got that running lead off there, but held up as the first pitch into Nat-Eye is for ball.
Yeah, it looked like he was trying to fake out as if he was going to go, but he never really had plans to go.
I want to be careful with that. We did see USC throw behind runners yesterday. 1-0 outside.
Nat-Eye hit a single in the first. He went back-to-back with Reynolds. Or excuse me, he had that first single to start off the hitting for the Cardinal. Nat-Eye, no hits on the day yesterday, something we don't see a lot from Jimmy Nat-Eye, but already getting himself going today. And there goes Reynolds.
Had a good pitch to go on, and he will be in there easily as the throw also was high and over on the 3rd base side. So now just like that, Stanford with a runner in scoring position with nobody out as Brady Reynolds gets stolen base number 2 on the year.
Yeah, good jump, and with that throw, we mentioned that throw needs to be the other side of the base path, and obviously quite a lot lower, so Reynolds in safely there.
A pitch there, too, where Galloway had to go down into his left to get it. Big swing there from Net Eyes. He comes up empty. And so many options now for Stanford with a runner at second base. Still nobody out. One of the better hitters that you've had so far this year. That's going to be fouled off. And even with all that room in front of the Stanford dugout, no play to be made.
Yeah, Stanford players in that dugout won't hurry to get out of the way there for Carpentier as he's chasing that down. But with your 3-hitter up and your 4-hitter on deck right now, I don't expect Stanford to lay down a bunt or anything. I think green lights all the way. See what they can bring home.
The thing, too, they know USC has to be careful here. You can't. You have the 2-2 count. You don't want to give Net Eye anything good to hit, but you know Malcolm Moore is behind him. As there is strike 3, late call behind the plate by Christopher Gonzalez, but he rings him up.
Backwards K, and Net Eye goes down. A late call indeed, but what a pitch there to get Net Eye. Different location. Just on the outside, and we talked about framing from Malcolm Moore. What framing there from Jacob Galloway behind the plate for the Trojans.
And you saw that little bunny hop, if you will, from Net Eye. He was getting ready to go against that payoff pitch. So here you go, Malcolm Moore, runner at second, 1 down. Stromsborg steps off, but nobody is there covering. It's always interesting to talk about Malcolm Moore at the plate. And we talk about how good he is, but that approach for him is such an open stance, is that multiple toe tap. But once he gets into that ready position, he really has that ability to unload on a baseball. And you'll see it here. It's that front right foot. You'll see a couple of taps, and he's ready to go. Just like that. Hit well over to right, and just in the shadows, making the grab is going to be Dowd. Staying over at second will be Reynolds. So Malcolm Moore gave it a ride, but just not enough. And now there's 2 down with a runner at second base.
Yeah, Reynolds did what he was supposed to do. He went halfway to third and checked on what was going on and had to scurry back to second base. And unfortunate there, as it looked like he probably would have gotten in the tag had he really thought that was a fly ball going right to Dowd in right field.
The hardest hit we've seen so far in this game. That was 102 off the bat from Malcolm Moore, but nothing to show for it. Again, as we love to talk about, it's the reason why they call it averages. You hit a ball hard like that, you get an out for it, you might hit a little looper, and that's going to be the one that gets down for a hit. One 0 now to Jake Sapien. Fouls that off. And talked about it for Dowd right now. Then, of course, for Reynolds when Stanford's back in the field. Starting to see some shadows creeping in just a little bit over in that right field corner.
Yeah, I think throughout this game we're going to see them creep further and further, but I don't think they're going to reach the mound or the batter's box. They'll be mainly affecting players in the field over there.
It'll be interesting to see, and it might not really come into play until the later innings if there could be something where those shadows could mess with a right fielder. Outside of that, perfect conditions, if you will, for anyone that will want to be playing baseball today.
Oh, absolutely. Jake Sapien, the second pitch he's had to jump out of the way of.
Yeah, really trying to go inside. 3-1. Swung on and missed.
Two outs, full count, and Stanford trying to avoid leaving one stranded once again.
Payoff, chopped, and we'll roll foul. We'll do it again. Pretty fun jersey matchup today, too. Stanford in the black, USC in their red. These teams have matched up against each other about 318 times. 14 national championships between the two of them. Payoff. Outside. Well-earned walk there by Sapien.
What a good at-bat there from Sapien. It looked like he was on the ropes for a moment. Great job there to reach first base. And now 2 on and 2 out for Brandon Larson, designated hitter. Put a single to left field in his first at-bat.
Runner on first and second. First pitch into Larson. Takes low and away, ball 1.
We haven't mentioned yet Larson, the transfer from UCSD. Last year spent his time playing at UCSD. His one season helped guide UCSD to a Big West championship before transferring over here to Stanford. He was all Big West second team in 2023 after leading the team in RBIs, slugging percentage, and home runs. So quite the addition here to the Cardinal lineup.
That's the thing about Stanford for the most part, and I know this is, again, the age and era of the transfer portal. You don't see too many transfers that come into Stanford compared to others around the country as it's fouled away, make it 2-1. But you're still even here, seeing it a little bit more than what you did, even just a few years ago.
Mm-hmm. You said it. Fewer transfers coming in here. Stanford, you look at USC's lineup, we can go through how many transfers they have here, at least 4 on the team.
2-1. 2-2. So many of those players make differences, and amongst a bunch of Stanford sports you've seen in football. Of course, we talk about baseball. There's Taryn Kern at softball. Not the easiest place to transfer into, but they make it work, as there is a swing and a miss for strike number 3. So once again, you got to give some credit to Stromsborg. There is some traffic on the base pass, but he works around it. We head to the 4th, still tied at 1. We just might be back into another pitcher's duel here in Game 2 of this series. Christian Lim getting ready for another inning of work. We're so far in this outing, only giving up 2 hits. Does have the 1 run given up, but also with that, Sarah, the 3 strikeouts.
Yeah, 3 strikeouts for Lim, and getting out of some big jams himself, Christian Lim. Again, as we've mentioned, coming off some big performances. He was Pac-12 Pitcher of the Week 2 weeks ago. 3 strikeouts through 3 innings for Lim.
And he might like this even more. 1 pitch. And what a grab, 1 out. We talked about it before. There isn't too much wind. It started to pick up a little bit. You see it was swirling a little bit there, but a good reaction there by Jimmy Nadai to make the grab.
Yeah, swirling and staring into the sunshine. That is not an easy grab. I'm sure he lost it at some point. There's a moment when you're staring up and the ball disappears into the sun, and you're just waiting for it to reappear as it comes back out, and that might have been what happened there. But way to stay with it there from Nadai. Not easy at all.
Here's how you can tell, too, that wind, and it's really started, I think, that last half inning. But you look at it right now, you have 1 flag, the flag of the United States going straight away to center. And then there's the California state flag that's going more so to right field, that right field wall. So you can tell it's going a little bit different directions. Look at that. See, again,
absolutely.
Look at the camera
opposite directions
job.
now.
We talk about something and it shows up.
Magic.
So the crew here that's at Stanford, they just do a phenomenal job.
Talk about those burgers more.
We'll see if we do that. Here's the problem. We'll talk about the burgers, so they'll show them on air. We won't get them. They'll show them. It's almost like a tease in that matter. 2-2 to Carpentier. And check swing, and Joe Maiden says no.
That's a great 2-2 pitch, though.
Lim ready. Strike 3 called. Carpentier didn't fully agree with it, and he will head back to the dugout. Great location there on that fastball from Lim. It catches the corner.
Great location. Once again, it's not where that ball ends up in the mitt. It's where it crosses the plate, and you see it just come from the outside straight back inside. Beautiful pitch.
Of course, the other part about it, too, you see exactly where Malcolm Moore's lining is setting up to get ready for it. So even if it is a little bit inside, didn't have to move too much. That can help steal a call for you as well, too. As the first pitch to Carson Wells fouled back.
So far, an efficient inning here for Christian Lim. On 3 strikeouts coming into this, tallying 1 more. Already faced 2 batters now and ahead in the count. 0-2 now to Wells.
That's a beautiful changeup. Looks about the same speed as his curveball, but of course not the same movement. Christian Lim dealing right now in this 4th inning. Here's the 0-2. Just missing outside. Woo, that looked like a good one.
That looked like a good one, and talk about a great 0-2 pitch. And some disagreement here from the stands. They thought that might have been strike 3, but 1-2 the count.
Swing and a miss, strike 3. 3 up, 3 down, and 2 strikeouts for Christian Lim in the 4th. Stanford bats coming back up. We'll see if they can break out this tie as we're here even at 1. Getting ready for the bottom of the 4th, still even at 1. As you take a look at some of the great land that's here on the Stanford campus. And one of the things that people would be are always so amazed to find out is you look at the amount of land that's here at Stanford compared to this actual student body population that's here. One of the largest universities land-wise in the world.
Gorgeous everywhere.
Oh, gorgeous everywhere, absolutely. Especially this time of year. Just got done with the rainy season, so even Lake Lagunitas has water in it, so you'll see people right around there.
And it's our favorite inning now. We've got the junior announcer up here.
Always a great time with the junior announcer.
Timo Becerra leading it off for Stanford here, and Stanford out hitting the Trojans in every category but 1 today so far. Overall hitting, 2-out situations, runner-on situations, lead-off situations, and the only category that Stanford is not out hitting the Trojans in is runners in scoring position. Stanford 0 for 7 on the day. Push to the Trojans 1 for 4.
Strike 3 call, Becerra knew it. One up, 1 down. Trevor Haskins will come up to the plate. Haskins so far 0 for 1 today. Struck out swinging. Tried to put down the bunt and hit it foul. Already.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, already a big day in the life for Trevor Haskins.
That's right. Birthday boy.
Yeah, happy birthday to him.
Up at the plate. We're not going to say what year he was born because I think that makes people feel bad, including you and me.
I was about to say I don't want to talk about it. It's one the other way to right center. That might split the gap, and it will. That's going all the way to the wall. Haskins into second easily. How about it for a birthday double? As Haskins now is at second with 1 down.
Oh, what a hit there from Haskins. Let's look at the contact he makes here. He gets that off the end of his bat, but still kind of hits the sweet spot. shoots right into the gap, and almost an opposite field look right there for Haskins.
Easily into second. Again, you're starting to see some more of that solid contact today for Stanford than you did yesterday. 6 hits now for the Cardinal in this one as we're through 3 1/3. And now Owen Cobb up. See if he can get something at least over to that right side of the infield to move Haskins over, but first pitch in for strike 1.
Cobb 0-1 on the day, struck out in his first at-bat in the second inning. And he'll try to change things up here for the Cardinal, who we mentioned are 0 for 7 with runners in scoring position right now on the day. And he'll try to make that 1 for 8 now.
Yeah, I tell you what, that was such an impressive job by Tyler Stromsborg back in that second inning. Back-to-back singles for Stanford to start it off, and then he followed that up with 3 straight strikeouts to leave people stranded.
Both pitchers paying close attention to the runners on the base path, and Haskins had some speed on him.
That gets through for a base hit. Here comes Haskins around being waved. Here comes the throw. It's cut off. It goes to second. That gets to the outfield. Cobb thought about going to third. He'll stay at second, but Haskins will score. Another run comes home for Stanford. Owen Cobb comes through big. Stanford back in front 2-1.
Oh, big hit there from Cobb, and Haskins was off to the races. And Cobb just didn't quite catch that the cutoff throw had gone straight into right field. Otherwise, he would have been over there on third base. But nonetheless, back-to-back doubles for the Cardinal.
Officially ruled a double there for Owen Cobb. Give him RBI number 9 on the season. Again, this is what we're talking about. You get that production and that experience of big-time situations at the bottom of the lineup. As you go back now to the top.
And we talked about production at the bottom of the lineup being the difference maker last night, with the Trojans taking that win and a lot of production out of the bottom of the lineup. And this time it's the Cardinal turn.
Throw back to second. Cobb is back. Oh, they're trying to mess with Stromsborg just a little bit. Taking a bigger lead. Oh, 1. Outside, 1-1.
Ethan Hott, the sophomore, didn't appear in a game as a freshman last year. Cardinal were, of course, Pac-12 champions last year. Ethan Hott didn't appear in this year, playing a very different role for the Cardinal. And he stepped into it well.
And he's one of those guys, whether it's a sophomore or a freshman, either with no or limited playing time last year, expected to do a lot for Stanford this year. This was a Region Player of the Year for 6A in Desert Valley out of Chaparral High School in Scottsdale. One, two, runner goes. There'll be no throw.
Chose a good pitch to go on there, 80 mile an hour off speed. It took a while to get to the plate. Plenty of time then for Cobb with the speed to get over to third base there. Good base running once again for the Cardinal. Good at bat here for Ethan Hott.
Second stolen base of the year now for Owen Cobb. Stanford now with an insurance run just 90 feet away. 1 down. That one is going to get through off the glove of Hedges over at third. RBI single for Hott as Cobb scores. Stanford putting a crooked number now up on the board here in the 4th inning as they lead 3-1.
Yeah, and that came shooting off of the bat. What a play that would have been if the Trojans could have managed that defensively just off of the glove of Hedges. But once again, that would have been quite the play if he'd come up with that. Just came screaming off of the bat of Ethan Hott. We'll get a visit to the mound.
And it looks like we're actually going to have a pitching change here as well. So we'll take a break, and when we come back to it, we'll let you know all about the new USC pitcher. Stanford putting 2 up so far here in the 4th. They're up 3-1. New pitcher coming on for USC, and it's going to be Channing Austin. They still can't close everything in terms of the book on the starting pitcher today, Tyler Stromsborg, who at least up until this 4th inning was really grooving in a mode, but Stanford's starting to find some things out.
Yeah, Stromsborg, 6 strikeouts on the day across 4 innings, really, or 3 and a third. But beyond that, giving up 8 hits. So, a strong outing for Tyler Stromsborg, of course, as you mentioned, up until a certain point, and then Stanford really just getting his number. And I think a good move here for the Trojans to take out Stromsborg, who, despite the 6 strikeouts, had allowed 8 hits.
And again, it was one of those feast or famine kind of situations, really, for Stromsborg. You talk about the hits that he gave up, but 6 strikeouts as well in that mix. And now he turns things over to the righty junior, Channing Austin. Channing, and redshirt junior from Brooklyn, New York, transferred in from Virginia and didn't see action last year. So far this season, has pitched in 8 1/3. It's given up 8 hits, 3 runs, all earned, and 13 strikeouts and 7 walks. You can see you can pop the mid a bit. That one at 95. Already ahead 0-2. Here to Reynolds. One, 2 now. Ethan Hott over at first after his RBI single as it's fouled off.
Stanford with 3 hits back to back to back, a double, and then a single. And sometimes something as simple as a pitching change can just kind of slow the momentum for Stanford. Let's see if Brady Reynolds can continue this. 1-out rally for the Cardinal.
One thing that was pretty funny, too, we were going into that pitching change, and they're playing the John Cena intro song, right, when he was in WWE. The time is now, of course, a big part of that. You can't see me, and I tell you what, if you were over at third base, Ethan Hedges, I don't think you saw that ball at all with how hard Ethan Hott hit it. And I know they call it the hot corner, but it really was on display there because there really wasn't much reaction time to that one at all.
Absolutely. That's the no thinking, all instincts moment right there.
Hott going. It was almost like a pitch out where the ball was thrown, and Hott's retired. He's going to say that he got past it on the swim. Wants them to look at it over in the dugout. And we'll see. David Esker thinks.
Let's take a look at it
here. I think he says he wants to look at it, yeah. Ooh.
That's hard from that angle to see because what we're really looking for is if that mitt did touch Hott's torso.
Of course, one thing to remember as well, there are so many different angles that, you know, we have a good bit of angles here. There are even that much more that they have over at Pac-12 headquarters. So they'll be going to look at it now. Again, you see that type of slide and dive into the bag so much more as of late where you kind of have that swim move. That's where I tell you what, I almost want to coach it up as a former football player, right, as a defensive lineman. That's what that kind of brought me back to.
Yeah, that takes some athleticism there, mid-movement, kind of changing up your body.
And I think one of the players that I really saw, even on the major league level, that was so good and started popularizing this. You saw Mike Trout do it so many times, right?
Oh, absolutely.
And here you go. You see Hot going in because the throw obviously beats him. And oof.
What we're looking for from this angle is just to see if he can get any jersey, right? Because
Yeah,
then
right.
we'll see that start to fly up.
You're trying to see that ripple, right? And that's when you know that the glove tags him. Because I think he might have let's see here.
So close
Right
here.
there,
Yeah,
maybe. And if
it
he
would
does,
be
I
right
think his hand's
hip.
on the bag.
Yeah, it would be right on the hip. I think you're right there. If he got him on the hip, looks like he misses the torso area.
Because he is in right. Ooh, that's close.
That's a close one.
I'll tell you what, and again, going back to the whole football analogy, there's a big difference between call confirmed and call stands.
Yep.
This might be one of those call stand situations.
Yeah, sometimes it's just there's not enough evidence to overturn it. Something, as you said, we hear a lot in football, and we're going to start hearing more and more in baseball. And, of course, if we don't have the camera coming from center field or even right field to get that other angle, this might be just that the call stands because there's not enough evidence to overturn it.
That's one of the things, too, that's so much fun about the changes and the evolution of college baseball, also college softball. There gets more and more each year that you can challenge, and also when you can challenge it, right? Sometimes you used to see it just before in postseason play, but now we're seeing it more and more in regular season play as well.
Yeah, and I think this is a great instance of, I think people say, the call on the field doesn't matter as much because we have replay. This is a great example of the call on the field absolutely matters for moments exactly like these. And it looks like they've seen enough, and we're about to get the call here on the field.
Maybe we will. And there it is. He's out. It's a good, strong throw down from Galloway behind the plate. And I think that really was one of those situations that no matter what they called on the field, you're going to keep that one the same way.
I think you're right there. I like the aggressiveness, though, from Stanford. Already posting 2 runs in the inning, and why not try to send that runner and get another in scoring position?
Payoff pitch, and Brady Reynolds draws a walk. So I guess an unfortunate situation, if you will, for Stanford. You go from potentially 2 on with 2 out, but now 1 on with 2 down as Jimmy Nadai will come to the plate. Excuse me, I should say you would have had 2 on with 1 down.
Yeah, that's what you get if you're playing aggressive, right? This is the other side of it. You have to just take it as it comes, and if that other situation presents itself, you have to be able to be comfortable with that, and Nadai smacks it to left field.
Almost hit it a little too well, as that top spin on it's going to make it a die over in the glove of Wells for out number 3. But Stanford gets 2 across, and they take the lead as they're up now on the Trojans, trying to even this series up. It's 3-1 going to the 5th. How about that view of Hoover Tower just off over in the distance of Stanford's campus? 3-1 going to the top of the 5th. Tell you what, as clear and beautiful as the day it is, it'd be a great day to go up top of Hoover Tower and see the view of the Bay Area.
Oh, absolutely. Doesn't get much clearer than this.
Christian Lim enjoying a 3-1 lead right now. And first pitch out over into left center. Carried more than I thought it would, but Hot will be there for the grab. And so in back-to-back innings now, Christian Lim has an out on his first pitch.
Yeah, Trojans doing him a favor there. swinging on the first pitch.
I tell you what, it'd be great to go see the view from Hoover Tower, but I think the other great place that would be today, you go to Avery Aquatic Center. Just be in the pool. That's like the perfect spot to be on campus right now.
You could be at Sunken Diamond.
You know what? I changed my thought process on that.
Specifically, you could be out grilling at Sunken Diamond. We're going to see how many times we can get that in.
Pitches in there, 1-1. And again, it's just as a reminder for you that are tuning in. We're not reminding you because we want you to feel jealous that people are grilling. We're reminding Ethan so he can keep saying, you know what, I'm tired of hearing about this over and over. I'm just going to get y'all some burgers so you can leave it alone.
Or so if you're watching on the stream, you can come out to the game tomorrow, third game of the series, 1 p.m., first pitch. Come on out and grill it up over here.
In the dirt away, 2-2.
That's a good 2-strike pitch right there from Lim. Lim works so much faster when there's nobody on base.
And that's a good, solid piece of hitting there from Dowd. Puts it right back up the middle. And one of the harder hit balls we've seen from USC in this game today. 97 miles an hour off the bat. Good 2-strike single from Dowd as we turn the lineup over for the third time now. As Austin Overn will come to the plate.
Yeah, just the third hit of the day here for the Trojans. Christian Lim, 5 strikeouts, absolutely shut down. Dangerous situation always when the Trojans find their leadoff hitter or any hitter on base. You can expect to see somebody trying to steal second here, even on the lefty Christian Lim. And Dowd absolutely has some speed on him.
And stole a base back in the third inning, came around to score, trying to do it again. Throw down from Moore is in time. They got him.
What a throw by Moore. That's exactly where you want to put it. And take a look at this here. Barely even has to move his mitt. Is Trevor Haskins, shortstop, coming over to make that play.
That's a good play, too, by Haskins, to your point. A little bit of a short hop there, so scooped it up, then put that glove right back down to apply the tag. Stanford and USC trading off, throwing a runner out in the last half innings. And there's strike 2. It's 1-2 now. 2 down for the lefty on the mound.
Lim at 70 pitches now, and he's had a couple really efficient innings like this one is shaping up to be.
Popped up. That's going to head back our way. More so on the KZSU side, but no one's going to be able to make the plays. That'll bounce around.
Yeah, Moore lost that in the air for a second, but doesn't matter. That'll go back into the stands. Another souvenir here.
Yeah, it looks like a young fan from Palo Alto will come home with a souvenir from that one. Still 1-2. Here's the pitch. Inside, turned on it. Don't know how he got his hands inside to even get the barrel on that. Fouls it away.
Yeah, great adjustment by Overn there. High and tight, right on his hands. And he makes relatively good contact.
I know he's on the left side, and the hitter that I was going to make a comparison to that did such a great job of that year in, year out. It's like what Derek Jeter used to do on the left side. He was on the right side of the plate for so long. Get your hands inside, still find a way to get a barrel to it. That inside out swing for number 2 for the Yankees. Big part of the reason why he's in the Hall of Fame. Here's a 2-2. Swing and a miss. Pulled a string on him. Strike 3. Good pitch there by Lim. It's a little unconventional, but he does go 3 up, 3 down. To the bottom of the 5th we go. He got a shutdown inning. Stanford leads 3-1. Good job there. Christian Lim got the 2 runs of support in the bottom of the 4th. It gets that shutdown inning in the top of the 5th. So we'll see if Stanford can add on some more insurance on the bottom half here. We'll start off with Moore, Sapien, and Larson due up for Stanford. Still Channing Austin on the mound for USC. And last time out, Moore hit a laser over into right, but stayed in the yard. Takes the first pitch, strike 1. Moore has singled today. So 1 for 2. Was left stranded, though, after that single in the first inning. Big cut there. Came up empty.
94 miles an hour. The first time Moore is seeing Austin in this game right now and swinging through that one a bit faster coming from the mound than we saw from Stromsburg.
Pretty interesting here now. You see there's a shift in the shift for USC. They switched places basically who was where. You had that 3 infielder look on that right side. But right there once it got to the 2-strike count, they flipped who actually was going to be that person's kind of in that shallow right field spot.
And right now, if you're Malcolm Moore, you're just thinking, get this opposite field, right? But with a 94-mile-an-hour fastball, that's hard to hit opposite field and get that timing down for it. A true pull hitter he is.
That's what the numbers say. That's what USC is trying to prepare for. 2-2. Fouls that one out the other way. Over towards the batting cages, out behind left field.
Malcolm Moore slugging .459 on the year. He's got 5 home runs. He's got some power behind him.
Works the count full. He has walked 11 times so far this year. And you talk about the average right now at 197, but that on-base percentage sitting at 324. It does another good job there, fouling another one off.
Yeah, Moore doing a good job staying alive. It looks like he's starting to see that pitch a little more clearly than when this at-bat first started. And talking about his numbers, he's averaging 197 on the season, but in the leadoff position, he's actually batting .333. And right now, batting leadoff in this inning for the Cardinal, he draws the walk.
Very, very good plate appearance there for Malcolm Moore. Stanford once again going to have a leadoff hitter on. It's the 3rd time now they've done that this game. As Jake Sapien will come up. He also drew a walk his last time up back in the 3rd inning. 0 for 1. This is another thing too, Sarah, when you talk about the Stanford offense and finding that rhythm. So much of how you can tell about it too. How do the at-bats look? Not just the results. What does it look like? How well are you seeing those pitches come in? Can you get deep into counts? And right now, as we're seeing today for Stanford, a lot of these hitters, they might be a little closer than not in terms of breaking out some of these funks.
Absolutely. Such a night and day difference, no pun intended.
What a bunt.
That almost looks like Sapien was trying to pull the bat away, but he just pulls it back as that pitch was kind of high and tight and gets that down the first baseline. Sacrifice bunt. Moves Moore over to second.
That's so tough to do. You take a look at this replay here. I mean, as a pitcher, so much of what you want to do in a bunt situation, you want to change the elevation of the batter's eyes. But again, a great job at trying to stay as level as possible, getting your hands up to where the pitch is. Stanford now with another runner in scoring position.
Brandon Larson up to the plate, talking about night and day in terms of last night versus today and how the Cardinal have been hitting. And even in that first inning, a couple flyouts, left field and then center field to just start the game. But even then, seeing the ball well, making good contact, different than last night. And now in this game, 5 innings, and a base runner in every single inning.
Line drive, that's going to get down. They are going to hold up Malcolm Moore over at third base. A hard hit single over into right by Larson. Stanford dealing right now. Runners on the corner, still one down.
Yeah, that's great contact there from Larson, his second single of the game.
So we're going to have a conversation. There was action going on in the USC pen. Again, very hard hit. 101 off the bat there by Brandon Larson.
Yeah, he hits that right in the meat, right in that sweet spot. Just perfect contact there for Larson. Runners at the corner, one out, and it looks like we're going to have another change here.
Yeah, it looks like we're going to see Garen Rizzo coming out for USC. So we'll take a break. We'll tell you all about him when he comes on out. Stanford threatening here in the bottom of the fifth. Third pitcher of the day coming out for USC. It's going to be the freshman out of Palos Verdes, California. And it will be number 36, Garen Rizzo, who comes from a pretty impressive background out in high school. 3 years of varsity baseball there, was 3 times All-Bay League, also 2 times All-Southern CIF team. And so far this year, 0-1 record. 11 and a third innings of work. He's given up 10 hits, 7 runs. All of those have been earned. 9 strikeouts and 3 walks. ERA right now sitting at 5.56. So, of course, looking to get that down some here, especially in the situation where Stanford has runners on the corners. Trying to hold the deficit to 2 if he can.
Yeah, big moment here for the freshman who you mentioned. Only 11 innings pitched so far on the season. Coming in with runners at the corners and just 1 out. As you mentioned, he's posted some big numbers in his high school career. He pitched a .65 ERA and 99 innings of work in high school. So plenty of work under his belt, but not as much here at the collegiate level. And what a way to come into this game for the freshman.
Yeah, welcome into the situation where you're down by 2, 1 out, runner on the corners, and Timo Becerra at the plate. Just a hitter that's hitting .308 with runners on. That first pitch low in the dirt, ball 1. Timo is 1 for 2 today, swings away the other way. That'll be caught on the line. Here comes Moore to the plate. The throw is cut off. Well done there by Timo Becerra, sacrifice fly. And Stanford gets another run on the board. They lead 4-1.
And it's like the roles have flipped, really. This is a lot of what we were seeing from USC last night, and seems like the situations have flipped here. Let's take a look at this. Tagging is Moore coming all the way home. Finally, Malcolm Moore got that leadoff walk. Now suddenly, Cardinal all rolling. 1 on, 2 outs. Trevor Haskins coming to the plate now, who's 1 for 2 on the day.
And just as a reminder, that run is credited to Channing Austin, as will be the runner at first if Larson were to come around. First off, a big swing and miss there for Trevor Haskins. As we mentioned last inning, the birthday boy doubled and scored in the fourth.
Difficult way here for the freshman, Garen Rizzo, to come into this game. He'll just need to settle down on the mound, kind of forget about that last batter. Fresh mindset.
Good cut, foul back.
Coming into this at bat with Trevor Haskins. Seems like he's done so. 0-2 the count now. Rizzo getting ahead of it.
Oh, 0-2. The Stanford shortstop. Here's a pitch. Pulled the string on the curve for strike 3. But Stanford is able to add another one on the board. And it's a sacrifice fly from Timo Becerra. When we come back, Sarah Ash will take us on the way home as Stanford with a 4-1 lead.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back. Sarah Ash now on play-by-play commentary for you alongside Jordan Watkins, who will be providing a lot of color for the last 4 innings and up to the plate for the Trojans, trying to lead it off and perhaps get something going for USC, who's been pretty shut down today offensively, is the catcher, number 40, Jacob Galloway. And Christian Lim still on the mound for the Cardinal. He delivers for a first pitch strike. You look at the line here. 4-1 Cardinal in the lead, and 9 hits for Stanford compared to just 3 for USC. Christian Lim, multiple strikeouts on the day. 6 strikeouts and holding the Trojans to just 3 hits. No errors on either side. Stanford having left 7 runners on base, and USC having only stranded 3. But 3 base runners and 3 hits for the Trojans, and that one off-speed pitch outside for Christian Lim.
One thing you love to see, too, right now for Stanford, Christian Lim, we talked about it, how he had that good outing 2 weeks ago to get him Pac-12 Pitcher of the Week. Starting to put them together now. Be consistent with it.
Chops it back up the middle, coming opposite way.
Nice
and
pick.
What a pick that was. Cobb going to his backhand side, picks it up, goes to Nadai, and Nadai almost hits the splits there, trying to pick that off the ground. A beautiful play there at first base.
Yeah, I know sometimes certain people, they have this reputation of, once you get a little bit less athletic or maybe older in your career, that's when you go to play at first. But having an athletic first baseman can really save you so many outs, and that's one of those situations where you get to see it.
Absolutely. Not only that, but in a situation like this at Sunken Field when there's so much foul ball territory,
yep, exactly.
Even more outs recorded for the Cardinal because of that athleticism at first base. First pitch, once again, in for a strike here for Christian Lim. 1-1 the count now. Ryan Jackson, the shortstop, number 13 here for USC, up to the plate, and he smacks that foul. Jackson grounded out to third base in the first inning, and he walked in the third.
All thunder, no lightning on that last swing.
Christian Lim will like to keep it that way.
Oof.
Once again, making good contact to the deepest part of the yard. Fly ball all the way back to center field, but hot all over it. You see that 400 mark, deepest part of the yard here at Sunken Diamond, and if that had been anywhere else, perhaps it would have been out.
It's also funny enough, you always want to talk about you want to have that solid contact, but it's almost one of those things where maybe because the contact was so solid, that actually went against Jackson, where he couldn't get that up above that batter's eye, in center field, where the wind right now it is flowing out, so didn't really get a chance to get it to carry some more.
Number 8, Kevin Takuchi, designated hitter. 0 for 2 on the day. Outside, trying to frame it is more, but he's not fooling home plate umpire Christopher Gonzalez today. 2 outs now. 2 up, 2 down, and another one in the dirt. 2-0 the count now for Christian Lim.
It looks like he's actually going up against a pinch hitter here. Looks like Chris Brown, number 20, I believe, is at the plate.
Oh, my apologies. Thank you for that. Number 20. Chris Brown, the transfer from UConn. His first year now with USC. He spent the past 3 years actually with UConn. And a good at bat here for the pinch hitter, taking a tight one. A good call. 3-1 the count. A good eye there, Brown.
Yeah, that was close.
You disagree with me?
Well, I mean, it was one of the things, I think, to your point, it's just a good pitch.
Yeah. Here's the pitch. Good contact made. High fly ball back to right field. Tracking it is Reynolds. and he'll take care of it. 3 up, 3 down. Once again for Christian Lim. And we will head to the bottom of the 6th and we'll be back with you shortly. Stanford in the lead, 4-1. Hello, everybody. Welcome back. Stanford in the lead, 4-1. First run coming in the first inning off of that wild pitch. And plenty of other hits here. 9 in the game. Stanford tallying 4 runs off of 9 hits. What do you see in here, Jordan?
Well, it's been a mixture of everything. We talked about and gave credit to USC yesterday for their job using the small ball. You've seen Stanford do a little bit of everything today. They have a run off of sacrifice fly. You saw where they were able to take advantage of a ball getting away from Galloway, because that just was foul there from Owen Cobb. But they're manufacturing hits and they're manufacturing runs and piecing them together. That was kind of the thing that they were missing yesterday, where they would have a hit here or there, but there wasn't that connector. Today they've had that connector in a lot of different innings, so that's why we are where we are.
Absolutely true team baseball here, singles here and there, some sacrifice bunts, sacrifice fly RBIs, and Stanford, as I mentioned, 9 hits, 4 runs, still 7 left on base. Stanford has had a base runner in every single inning. Let's see if they can continue this streak here in the bottom of the 6th. Owen Cobb up to the plate to lead it off for the Cardinal. Second baseman has an RBI double in the 4th inning and a strikeout on the day. He's 1 for 2. And he hits that right back up the middle, just under the glove of Jackson. Ryan Jackson diving for it, just under his mid, and a great hit there from Owen Cobb.
And you love to see your 9-hole hitter have a 2-hit game. And, again, with Owen Cobb, we talked about all the experience, all the late postseason runs that he's had. Even with the maybe slower start to the year, that's nothing that's going to faze him. He's been here before. And we saw that from USC as well yesterday too, right? A lot of those 2-strike hits going right back up the middle. So way to shorten your approach there with 2 strikes. That's 2 2-strike hits now for Owen Cobb in this game.
First pitch strike in for the leadoff hitter, or the number 1 hitter, second hitter in this half inning, Ethan Hott, number 13, hitting in that number 1 position for the Cardinal today. He's showing bunt, getting that small ball for the Cardinal, just looking to advance that runner. 0-1 the count now. We'll see if Hott shows bunt again. He doesn't. A pitch out, though. And it looks like they got him. Easy call on that one. A good read here by the Trojans. They knew Cobb was going to pitch out. We'll take a look at this here. Cobb, go ahead.
I was going to say, it's just another situation. It's so much fun, the chess match that is. 2 teams that are going to resort to and use small ball to manufacture runs. And right there, USC, they're the ones that get the checkmate, if you will.
USC not afraid to utilize that pitch out, and Hott smacks that in between shortstop and third base, finds the hole into left field. And back-to-back singles, but just 1 base runner to show for it here for the Cardinal. And now coming up to the plate, number 27, Brady Reynolds. And that's good contact right there from Ethan Hott, who's now 2 for 4 on the game.
We might see another change here for USC as, again, like you said, Stanford going back to the top of that lineup. Yep, the Trojans going back to the bullpen once again.
It's a bullpen day for the Trojans. And it looks like we will have new pitcher Adrian Blanchett, the freshman from Irvine, California, coming in. We'll be back with you shortly with more on Blanchett and the remainder of this 6th inning. Hello, everybody. Welcome back. And it looks like we actually have number 30, Mason Edwards. And from here with the glare, it looked like a 35, but it is number 30, Mason Edwards, the left-handed freshman out of Los Angeles, California. And last year, his high school travel ball, he played 2 varsity seasons at Palos Verdes High School in Pacific Palisades, California. He was the 2023 League Co-Pitcher of the Year, 2022 League Pitcher of the Year. Plenty of accolades coming into his freshman season here at the collegiate level. And so far this year, 0 wins, 1 loss on the record, 13.2 innings pitched, 17 hits given up, and 20 strikeouts. He's got an ERA of 9.88. So, the 4th pitcher for USC coming in.
And that's what you want to see from Stanford, right? Again, we talked about it even last night, where you don't want to let those pitchers get in a rhythm. Stanford's done a lot better at the plate to keep some of these pitchers from getting that momentum and rolling. Because, look, you have a pitcher here. You talked about it with what he's done so far during the season. A lot of talent coming in from the Southern California area, the L.A. area. You know, when you pitch in Los Angeles, you have a 1.20 ERA your junior year, 1.15 ERA your senior year. You got some good stuff there with you, so. Also a different look here. You got the lefty now.
A new look here for Brady Reynolds, number 27, the right fielder here for the Cardinal as he stands in. Reynolds with a single, a walk, and a flyout on the day. And now he'll stand in here with a runner on and 1 out. See here, Stanford adding to the hits tally. 11 hits. 2 singles in this half inning, but Owen Cobb with the leadoff single thrown out, trying to steal second base. Immediately after, Ethan Hott singled right in between third base and shortstop, right into that gap into left field. Now Brady Reynolds wouldn't get this runner home or even into scoring position. We should talk about how this might affect USC tomorrow. Usually the 3rd game of a series that Sunday could sometimes be a bullpen day. And USC running through a lot of their bullpen right now.
Absolutely, and not even that. If you do have to use maybe 1 arm or 2 twice, Stanford's already seen a good look at some of those top flight arms that USC might want to throw out there. So even just from that standpoint, the timing might look a little bit different.
That's been the difference here. Tyler Stromsburg starting the day for the Trojans. And then we had Channing Austin and then Garen Rizzo, and now Mason Edwards on the mound, as opposed to here for the Cardinal. Christian Lim has been the only pitcher that USC has faced on the mound. Here's the 3-0, and in for a strike. Brady Reynolds taking all the way there.
Yeah, taking all the way. And makes perfect sense, right? You have someone fresh coming into the game, getting a little erratic, again, a freshman. They can throw to you.
Here's the pitch outside, and a good take there. An easy take from Reynolds. Tosses the bat aside, so now 2 on for the Cardinal. Reynolds, 2nd walk of the day. Now the 3-hole coming up to the plate, Jimmy Nadai. Nadai with a difficult night last night, but he kicked off this game with a single. Since then, he struck out and flied out to left field, but Nadai always with the potential to make something happen. Mason Edwards now facing the heart of the lineup for the Cardinal with just 1 out and 2 on.
I just have this suspicion, and he might be taking care because you just saw a 5-pitch walk. This first pitch might be the best one that I sees.
79 miles an hour, right down the middle of the plate. But taking all the way, as you mentioned, is Jimmy Nadai, and as you mentioned, you have to after a 5-pitch walk.
That makes total sense, and of course, there's that part of you as a hitter that you want to swing, but you don't want to hear certain things from the coach in the dugout if you do.
Yeah, if that goes wrong, you're going to hear those certain things. In that situation, you only swing if you're 100% sure something can happen.
Yeah, it's like that. No, don't shoot. Oh, good shot, right?
Yeah.
If you take the 3 in basketball, that's
Exactly.
that's covered. I keep thinking, obviously, we're in the Bay Area. How many years ago it was, but the Warriors are playing against the Clippers, and Stephen Curry dribbles between like 5 people and just turns around and shoots. And they go to Steve Kerr at the bench, and he has like his hands on his head, like, what are we doing? Oh, but it goes in. It's Stephen Curry. It's okay.
There's no bad shots and there's no bad swings as long as it's a good outcome.
There you
right?
go. Exactly it.
And Mason Edwards checking the runner on second. That's Ethan Hott. Edwards very aware. Hott has some speed on him. Jimmy Nadai taking once again An easy one for Nadi. High, well out of the strike zone.
Here's a situation here, too, where I'd be curious to see if Jacob Galloway lets this go a little longer before going out to talk to the young pitcher. There's a pretty good pitch there, but see here, 2 runners on, you have 1 out, and so much of what Mason Edwards has been doing is paying attention to the runner on second base, talking about Ethan Hott, and so might be one of the things where you just want to settle him down, just focus on the mitt, phase everything else out.
Absolutely. We might see that after this batter. Right now you see Galloway just standing up, giving his pitcher a little bit of time. Rightfully worried is Mason Edwards. Plenty of times we've seen stolen third bases here between these two teams. And another walk. Another good at bat here and good patience from Jimmy Nadi. His first walk of the game, he'll head to first. So Hott on third, Reynolds on second, Nadi on first, and your cleanup hitter, Malcolm Moore, coming to the plate.
But see, that's one of those situations I was talking about. I think just as a young pitcher, you have so much attention to what's going on the base paths that you have some non-competitive pitches there, and actually it looks like that might do it here for Mason Edwards.
And you are correct. He will not have the chance to pitch to Malcolm Moore, of course, with the chance that he could walk or run home after 2 straight walks. And so, we will be back with you shortly for the 5th pitcher for the USC Trojans and the remainder of the bottom of the 6th inning. Hello, everybody, and welcome back. 5th pitching change here for the Trojans, and coming into the game, another freshman, number 39, Bodie Purcell, freshman out of California once again. He played 3 varsity seasons in high school. He has plenty of accolades, as do these other freshmen coming out of the USC bullpen, but let's take a look at what he's done so far this year with the Trojans. Only 2.2 innings pitched, giving up 5 hits, 3 walks, and 6 strikeouts, posting a 6.75 ERA. Of course, that's just across 2.2 innings pitched. So the Trojans throwing out a lot of their freshmen here to get some experience against the Cardinal. What do you think about that, Jordan?
No, I think that's a pretty good approach. And again, you look at both of these teams, a good amount of inexperience both ways, right? You look at some of these rosters, all the freshmen and sophomores that are on there. But again, to your point, a lot of talent, especially right here in terms of Brody Purcell coming out of JSerra Catholic down in Orange County. Was an All-American with Baseball Factory, Prep Baseball Report, top prospects. So again, it's one of those situations. You have a lot of guys, a lot of talent both ways. They're just young. They have to get the reps. They have to get the experience. And, well, I'll tell you what, here's some experience for you. Bases loaded in a 3-run game already and 1 out. And to top that off even more, no pun intended, here's Malcolm Moore.
Hey, you said it. Only 3 appearances before this. 2 appearance versus BYU, versus Portland, and versus Texas A&M. And now in his 4th appearance ever with just 2.2 innings under his belt. Bodie Purcell stands on the mound with the bases loaded. And the cleanup hitter, Malcolm Moore, up to the plate. Moore had a single in the 1st inning, flied out to right field in the 3rd, and walked in the 5th. He was one of the runs that got brought home by the sacrifice fly, or the singular run that was brought home by Timo Becerra's sacrifice fly in that 5th inning. And what a moment here for Malcolm Moore.
Yeah, what a moment. I tell you what a start here for Brody Purcell. Coming out being aggressive, and Stanford's arguably their most talented hitter. Here he is already ahead 0-2.
0-2. Purcell delivers, taking is Moore. And a good 2-strike pitch, as they say, from Purcell, who will do it again. 1-2 the count now. It should be mentioned Malcolm Moore leading the Cardinal in home runs. 5 home runs on the year, and now trying to mess with the head of Purcell is Hott on third base. That pitch high, 2-2 the count now.
Saw when he was at second base trying to mess with Edwards, now doing it again with another young pitcher on the mound in a high leverage situation.
Purcell delivers. Low and outside and a bouncing ball. Good job there from Galloway behind the plate to make sure that stays in front of him.
Very well said, and a good read there by Hot, too. Thinking about it in between, and, of course, if you think too long, just go ahead and stay at third.
Yeah, absolutely. And so from 0-2, Malcolm Moore has climbed back into this. Full count now, bases loaded, 1 out. Malcolm Moore stands in. Here's the pitch. Strikeout, but a crazy pitch and
safe.
Play at home plate and safe is Ethan Haught. It was a pitch actually down the middle, but Galloway fumbled it. And so a strikeout recorded, but on the drop ball, Haught comes home. And chaos here at Sunken Diamond.
Yeah, that was a pretty interesting situation. You take a look at it here. Again, not a tough pitch usually to catch, but first off, we talked about that swim move at second base earlier by Owen Cobb that didn't work out. It looks like on the contact, I think, first off, that Haught would have been safe regardless. But as soon as the contact was made with Haught and Galloway, you see that ball float out the mitt there. You actually wonder maybe if Galloway and Purcell, you talk about, again, about the inexperience being out there, maybe the fact that pitcher and catcher haven't had that many live game reps, they were a little thrown off exactly what pitch was coming.
Yeah,
it looked like there was
Galloway,
some movement. Yeah,
absolutely. Unlike Galloway, we've seen him be so clean behind the plate and bobbling that twice actually in the play if we see the replay there. But saw a small conversation between Galloway and the dugout there, potentially saying to his coach, maybe go look at the replay. I think I got him, but I think, like you said, Haught safe at the plate no matter what. Now runners at the corner. Reynolds advances to third on that. Nadai remains at first. Once again, Galloway busy behind the plate here for the Trojans.
Yeah, you have a sophomore behind the dish and a freshman on the mounds. Certain situations like that, certain bounces and some miscommunications that can happen. Of course, it's a lot more difficult to do that nowadays because of all the different technology we have and sign systems that are out there, but still a possibility at times.
1-1, swinging a foul ball behind. Nadai went on that pitch. With a foul ball from Sapien, he'll go back to first. Now Sapien. 1 ball, 2 strikes to count now. Jake Sapien had a sacrifice bunt to move the runner over in the 5th. He walked in the 3rd and he grounded out in the 1st. His 4th at bat now, and Sapien coming up with runners at the corners. 2 outs, 1-2 the count now, high, and once again, there goes Nadai. And he'll come in standing to second.
Yeah, I think USC kind of had that one planned out all the way. If Stanford was going to take off there for second, they're just going to see if they could pump the runner to come home. There's a couple different situations there that you'll see, right? Maybe you'll get the throw down. Sometimes there's someone that kind of cuts it off to then trap somebody.
2-2 pitch. Foul tipped back right into the glove of Galloway. And so the freshman, Bodie Purcell, gets out of the jam. The 1 run for the Cardinal belongs to Mason Edwards, but the Cardinal add 1 to their tally. 5-1, Stanford Cardinal lead as we head to the top of the 7th. Hello, everyone. Welcome back. Top of the 7th, Stanford in the lead, 5-1. Once again, back on the mound for the Cardinals, Christian Lim. And he delivers for our first pitch strike, and we get a change here in the defensive situation for the Cardinal. Coming into left field in place of Jake Sapien is number 22, Court McDonald.
We got to see him play in the game yesterday. Had the home run in the 9th for Stanford. And, I thought it was pretty interesting to see that he wasn't in the lineup today, just from that standpoint of, again, continuing on with positive momentum at the plate. But good to see him get in here now, but I tell you what, too, let's talk about the positive momentum. How about what Christian Lim has been doing so far today?
Absolutely, and starting off strong once again here as Ethan Hedges stands in for the Trojans. 2-2 the count. Lim facing Hedges for the 3rd time today. Hedges struck out in the 2nd and flied out first base in the 4th, and this time he bounces it to 2nd. Looking like a routine play for Cobb. Cobb makes it look easy there. Gathers it, flips it over to Nadai for the out. So another first pitch strike for Christian Lim, and then another one up, one down for Christian Lim.
Yeah, and the reason why that looks so routine from Owen Cobb, he did a great job of reading it early on. Again, that high chopper, decided to give ground so he could catch it when it was still coming up instead of making that a difficult short hop. So good read there to make it easier than what it could have been.
First pitch strike once again from Christian Lim. Off speed, 78 miles an hour, got him swinging the plate. Number 16, Carpentier, the first baseman here for the Trojans, and he smacks that once again. Busy at second base is Cobb. And once again, excellent positioning there from the second baseman. He's done his homework. He knew where to be. And in another world, that could have found the hole up the middle, but instead, Cobb flips it to Nadai, out number 2. 2 up, 2 down now for the Cardinal in the top of the 7th.
A perfect situation there for Stanford. You see where pitch was supposed to be, wanted it on the outside. It goes there. They're positioned right to where the pitch is supposed to happen.
Carson Wells now, number 9, Chopper back up the middle. Once again, busy at second base is Cobb. 3 batters and 3 outs recorded, all from Cobb. And 1-2-3 inning once again for Christian Lim. We'll take a look at that one again. Cobb with the backhand, throws it across his body. He makes it look easy. The Cardinal still in the lead, 5-1. We are here for the 7th inning stretch. We'll be back for the bottom of the 7th. Hello, everybody, and welcome back. Bottom of the 7th inning. Stanford in the lead, 5-1. Stanford putting on a show here on offense today. 11 hits, 5 runs. And back on the mound for the Trojans, number 39, Bodie Purcell, the freshman who came in with just 1 out in the bottom of the 6th. 2 strikeouts to end the inning for him. Of course, 1 run scored for the Stanford Cardinal, but it was off of a strikeout and then a bobbled pitch behind the plate from Galloway. Now up to the plate here for the Cardinal, number 16, Brandon Larson.
Shout out to Owen Cobb again. That's last half inning, his defensive presence tying a record held by many. 3 putouts in 1 inning.
Oh, you love to see it, and it's so fun when you're a fielder and you're just in the zone. And Cobb going all directions there for those 3 putouts as we look to the Trojans bullpen. Another pitcher warming up there for the Trojans. For now,
William Watson, I think.
Looks like it outside. 4-pitch walk from Bodie Purcell, the freshman on the mound here for the Trojans. Now coming to the plate, number 2, Timo Becerra, the third baseman for the Cardinal. Hit a single in the 2nd, struck out in the 4th, and had a sacrifice fly RBI in the 5th inning to bring home Malcolm Moore. And now he comes up to the plate with a runner on first base. Check swing, foul. Back behind the plate, and USC, we've talked about how they're running through their bullpen right now. And we'll see just how long Bodie Purcell can last. Again, a strong 2 outs there recorded in the bottom of the 6th, and now 4-pitch walk to the leadoff hitter in the bottom of the 7th, and that's not what you want. Immediately behind Bodie Purcell, and now 1-1 the count here to Timo Becerra.
Ooh.
Becerra smacks that to center field. Under it, a high fly ball over and under that for the Trojans.
Just missed.
Just got under it, yeah. Just over a little bit more. I think we would have been saying goodbye to that one, but instead, an out is an out, and it doesn't matter if you hit it 399 yards and just missed that last one. An out is an out, and so big out recorded there for Bodie Purcell. Brandon Larson goes back to first, and now coming up to the plate, Trevor Haskins. Birthday boy shows bunt. 2 strikeouts and a double for Haskins today.
Curious to know where he's going to do the birthday dinner celebration tonight. So many good restaurants out around the area. Got a lot of options.
Plenty of time to carbo load for the 3rd and final game tomorrow. You're joining us here. We're looking forward to it. Tomorrow, 1 p.m. first pitch for the 3rd and final game of this series.
I believe that's you and Troy Clarity on the call tomorrow.
We'll miss you.
Julia won't.
Inside. 2-1 the count. And if you're Haskins and you've seen that so far in this inning, at least, Purcell has had a little bit of trouble finding that strike zone. Obviously, a 2-1 count is not one where you're usually taking, but are you perhaps taking a little bit more if you're Haskins?
I'll tell you what, if there's one thing right now that might make me sway that decision a little bit more is you see that throw over to first. Again, it's his mind a little bit occupied with the runner on base. Where, again, 2-1 count, you might just want to look for a pitch in one certain spot.
Low and inside and fouling that. Back behind the dugout. 2-2 the count. Haskins stays alive. Purcell checks the runner again. Brandon Larson over there on first base. Plenty of work for him to do. He's had to dive back to the bag quite a few times. Gets up, dusts himself off, and Purcell delivers. Haskins with a bit of a choppy swing. That's a staying alive swing, if I've ever seen one.
Yeah, shorten up. If it's anything close, live to see another pitch.
Purcell taking his time on the mound here for the Trojans. Delivers, swinging in a high fly ball. It's got a little bit of distance, and that stays in bounds, rounding second and coming around to third, and he'll hold up there is Larson, and in for another double, his 2nd of the game. 2 doubles for the birthday boy Trevor Haskins today.
Oh, I tell you what, off the bat, you thought that had a chance to get out, but another good swing there by Haskins. And look, there you go. You have 2 doubles now, 2 extra base hits on the day. Have yourself a happy birthday. And also, that's going to chase another pitcher out the game for USC.
What a hit there from Haskins, deep into left field. And as you mentioned, chasing another pitcher out of the game for USC. We're going to be on to our 6th pitcher for USC here. We'll be back with you shortly for that. Cardinal in the lead, 5-1. 2 runners on, 1 out. They're threatening. We'll be back with you shortly. Hello, everybody, and welcome back. Bottom of the 7th inning, Cardinal threatening with runners on second and third and one out. And a pitching change here for the Trojans as we see the 6th pitcher of the day come into the game. Number 3, William Watson, the junior transfer. He spent one season at Cal Lutheran in 2022 and one season at San Joaquin Delta College. That was last year in 2023 before transferring to USC. His freshman year at Cal Lutheran, he posted a 1.2 ERA in 34 innings pitched. And his sophomore year, he pitched a 2.97 ERA over 57.2 innings. And so far this season, only 4 innings pitched, 3 hits given up, 5 walks, and 6 strikeouts, posting a 4.5 ERA. And another pitcher for the Cardinal who just seemed to be just reading everything that the Trojans are throwing at them.
Yeah, they're doing such a good job of also, we talk about piecing the hits together, but part of that has been also they're not really swinging at a lot of the junk pitches. Right? Their eyes are really on it, and so that's been a big part of this as well. So when they do get the good pitches, they're able to be ready to swing away.
Now 2 on, 1 out for Owen Cobb. Cobb, second baseman, struck out in the second, doubled in the fourth, and singled in the sixth, but was caught stealing, thrown out at second. We've got a pinch runner as well. Number 44, Brett Blair, pinch running here at third base instead of Brandon Larson. Pitch outside. Now, that's not something you see a lot, a pinch runner for somebody at third base. I suspect something's wrong with Brandon Larson, or perhaps defensive change was in order, and they just said, well, let's do this now. Swing and a ground ball up the middle. A mitt goes flying for the pitcher, coming around third and scoring. 2 runs come home. It's an RBI single for Owen Cobb, and the number 9 hitter for the Cardinal. 3 RBIs on the day, and that's some production out of the bottom of the lineup.
That's what you want to see and what you would expect as well from that senior leadership in the bottom of the lineup. I tell you what, that's something you don't see very often, right? William Watson looking like he was trying to react to that ball going back up the middle, and that glove just flew right off of his hand. I don't think I've seen that before.
I don't think I've seen that before either. Beautiful hit, though, right back where it came from. Now Ethan Hott back to the top of the lineup. Number 13, Ethan Hott stands in. Center fielder smacks it to center field, but a line drive taken care of by Austin over there in center field for the Trojans, and that'll be out number 2.
And again, some more solid contact at the plate, though, by Hott.
And it looks like if you're looking through the lineup here for the Cardinal, production out of every single person in this lineup, whether it's a walk, whether it's a sacrifice, whether it's a hit, there is production out of every single person in this lineup here. Now Brady Reynolds stands in. Reynolds back-to-back walks. He walked in the 6th and the 4th for that single in the 3rd inning and a fly out in the 1st. Here's the pitch, low and inside.
13 hits now in this game for Stanford. They're one off the season high up to this point. That was 14, and they got that back on February 26th when they went against San Jose State.
Swing and a high pop-up. Looks like that'll stay in bounds. Looking for it as he loses his hat. His third baseman Hedges, and he puts it away, but the damage is done. Stanford add to their lead 7-1. Cardinal in the lead as we head to the top of the 8th. Hello, everybody, and welcome back. Top of the 8th, and Christian Lim, 6 strikeouts on the day. His day is done. Jordan, what a day for Christian Lim.
Absolutely a great day. 7 innings in total with 6 strikeouts, 2 walks, 97 pitches with the 60 of those being strikes. And look, we talked about this, right, how USC was able to sequence certain hits and at-bats together yesterday. He did a really good job of isolating the hits today. Again, the 3 hits, just 1 run, and that's 7 innings of work. It's exactly what you wanted to see from Christian Lim today.
Absolutely, and what an outing it was. His first start since his Pac-12 Pitcher of the Week a couple weeks ago. And he puts in equally strong, if not stronger, performance today. And now we're placing him on the mound. Number 18, Cassius Thomas. Thomas, 9.2 innings pitched on the season so far. He's given up 11 hits, 6 walks, and he's struck out 9. That just gets the outside corner for a strike. 1-2 the count now. Thomas posting a 6.52 ERA on the year so far, and the sophomore out of Los Angeles.
Sierra Canyon, another one of those schools that puts out pretty good talent there from year to year. He had trouble dealing with that one, though, coming back to the mound.
Yeah, just missed it. It's always hard for pitchers to field right as it comes right back to them, and he just misses that one, and just a bit too slow of a chopper there for Becerra to scoop up and get the run every time. So that was number 77, Aubrey Covarrubias, and he reaches. So USC with a runner on and no outs, and Thomas with some big shoes to fill here, but he's got some leeway, a 6-run lead here for the Cardinals, so hopefully that can make him feel a little looser on the mound.
Tell you what, too, though, it was like the fact that he was coming out to homecoming there by Kanye West out of the bullpen. Had to make sure I double check. It's like, did he grow up here and then come back? Is that what the thing is behind it? Oh, here's 2 ball.
There it is. There's 1, and there is 2. A 4-5-3 double play. Cobb to Haskins to Nadai. Let's take a look at that. A perfect ground ball for that double play. Perfectly executed there by the Cardinal.
And that's what you want to see from a young pitcher, too, right? Sophomore, you're coming in, that leadoff runner gets on. So what do? You find a way to get to a ground ball. It goes right to one of your infielders to turn 2, and all of a sudden you eliminate that leadoff runner.
Got a throwback again playing in the stadium over the loudspeaker as Moore will go to the mound and talk to his young pitcher. Austin Overn, center fielder, up to the plate here for the Trojans. 2 outs, nobody on. Suddenly a very different situation, as you mentioned. That's exactly what you want to see from your young pitcher. And busy once again in second base is Cobb.
Absolutely. And you mentioned it too, right? He has the 6-run cushion. But here's the way that you continue to build on to that trust, to be out there when it is those high leverage situations late in the game, right? You want to be out here, have a very efficient outing, try to limit base runners. Of course, you don't want to see any runs go across. So that way, when it is that 1-run game late, maybe 2-run game, tie game, runners on, there's a higher likelihood that your name and number can get called.
Absolutely, that's what it's all about. Everybody wants to be in those big situations. 1-1 the count now, that high and tight pitch inside. And we've been talking a lot about transfers today, so we should mention here that Cassius Thomas is actually one of those few transfers to the Stanford Cardinal, as Overn pops it up behind home plate. He played 1 season at Duke last year before transferring to Stanford. He made 6 appearances for the Blue Devils in 2023. 1 start, working 5 1/3 innings with 11 strikeouts, while holding opponents to a .222 batting average at the plate. So his first year here with the Cardinal.
See, that's his homecoming, back in the state of California.
There it is. Here's the pitch. Bouncing ball once again to Cobb. Busy at second base, and he'll flip it over to Nadai for that 3rd out. So 1-2-3 inning for the sophomore, Cassius Thomas. And the Stanford Cardinal will head to the bottom of the 8th. Stanford on top, 7-1. Hello, everybody, and welcome back. Bottom of the 8th inning, Stanford in the lead, 7-1. Stanford posting 13 hits compared to USC's 3. It's been an offensive explosion for the Cardinal after their bats were very quiet last night. And now coming up to the plate, leading off for the Cardinal, number 6, Jimmy Nadai, first baseman. He singled, he struck out, he flied out to left field, and then he walked. He's done almost everything already in this game, and now he comes up to the plate for his 5th appearance and his first appearance against number 3, William Watson, on the mound for the Trojans. Jordan, we mentioned the difference between last night and today. What do you think it has been for the Cardinal in terms of getting those bats going? Is it really just the pitchers and them seeing the pitch a little bit better today? Of course, the Friday night starter coming out for the Trojans last night, that's always a difficult one to play against.
Yeah, I mean, you do have to tip your cap to Cade Naoki and really the whole USC pitching staff for how they did yesterday. But even if you just look at some of the numbers, Stanford has 7 hits today with a runner on base. If you want to compare that with how they were yesterday, Stanford only had 8 at-bats in total with a runner on base, and they were 1 for 8. So that's one place you look at the difference. Another part of it as well, when runners are in scoring position, Stanford 413 today, so that's about 308 average, if you will. Again, when they had that in the situation in the game yesterday, they were 1 for 6. So, it's not even just the fact that they're, I think, seeing the pitchers better today. They're finding ways to string those hits together. So, again, it's not like Stanford's had one big inning in this game. I mean, the most they've scored in an inning is 2 runs, and that was in the 4th and last inning in the 7th. So, it's been continuous over the whole game.
Hits in every single inning and production from every single part of this lineup. Nadai saying something to the dugout. He'll stand back in. 2-2 the count now for Jimmy Nadai. Watson delivers. Swinging a bouncing ball into the hole. Diving is Covarrubias. What a play there. We've seen a lot of great plays at second base. And another one there. First one for the Trojans that we've seen from Covarrubias. Cobb's been busy at second for the Cardinal, but a good play there from Covarrubias at second.
Yeah, I tell you what, we've tipped our cap so much to Owen Cobb and how he's done today. So Covarrubias said, hold on, watch me do this too. I can feel the leather as well. Great dive and play, because I really thought off the bat that was going to be hit well enough to his right that it would be a seeing eye single, if you will, for Nadai.
Yeah, it looked like it was going to find the hole. What range for Covarrubias. Now coming up to the plate, number 10, Malcolm Moore, catcher for the Cardinal. Swings in a foul ball back behind home plate. Moore singled in the 1st, flied out to right field in the 3rd, walked in the 5th, and struck out in the 6th. Now he will face Watson for the first time on the game. 1-1 the count now. Watson has done a good job of getting ahead in the count. Both Jimmy Nadai and now here to Malcolm Moore. 0-2 now quickly to Moore. And once again, we see that shift in the shift from the Trojans.
Now it looks like that was Hedges that went over to your stereotypical second base spot.
2-strike pitch in the dirt. Doesn't feel Malcolm Moore, and once again the shift is on for the lefty. And when we say the shift within the shift, of course the singular player down in between second and third base switched, with players now playing the more typical second base, if you will. Second baseman is now out in right field.
Now, one of the things I need to do one of these days is just ask some of these lefties what it does to them mentally when they see that shift. Because, again, I think for so many people who say, oh, I mean, it should be simple. Just hit the ball the other way, but of course, it's not always the case.
It is not, but that'll do a looping ball, and it looked like it might carry into the outfield. It did not. Picking that off was Ryan Jackson, the shortstop, who was the sole person on that side of the diamond. And so 2 up, 2 down now, coming to the plate for the Stanford Cardinal. Pinch hitter, number 22, Court McDonald. Not a pinch hitter. Court McDonald came in for Jake Sapien in the previous inning, so Court McDonald will have his first at-bat of the game. Of course, McDonald playing last night, now seeing his first action of the day up at the plate.
Laser to homer over to right field in that 9th inning. It was too little too late, and I tell you what, that's one great cut there by Court.
Held it back, 0-1 the count. Court McDonald, we haven't gotten to talk a lot about him. Marlington, Texas, a sophomore. Last year, he appeared in just 10 games. This year, another one of those players just playing a different role, a bigger role here for the Cardinal. Oh, and 2 now. Third batter here for Watson that he's been able to get out in front of in the count. Just 1 strike away from going in 1-2-3 inning, and that won't do it. McDonald smacks that into right field, a looping single. And McDonald reaches.
That's a good job there. They want to go off speed, left that a little higher up than the zone, I believe, than where Watson would have wanted it. A good approach there by McDonald. You leave one hanging. Good hitter's going to take advantage of an opportunity for it, and he does there.
Now we'll have a pinch hitter. Instead of Brandon Larson, taking the plate is number 21, Charlie Somm, Jr. out of Thousand Oaks, California. Last year he was limited to 9 games due to an injury. He started 7 of those 9 and then was out for the remainder of the year, so he's seeing his first, hopefully, full season action this year in a while.
Pretty interesting situation here. So you have Charlie Somm, who's from Thousand Oaks, going up against William Watson, who started off his collegiate career at Cal Lutheran, which is in Thousand Oaks.
You said it. Cal Lutheran, a Division III school, but very much known for players going there and then transferring out for multiple sports, not just baseball. 0-1 the count now. Swinging through it is Somm. 0-2 the count once again. Multiple times now we've seen Watson on the mound for the Trojans get out ahead of the count. We just saw that, of course, for Court McDonald before that single. Now 0-2 the count here to Somm. Here's the pitch. And got him looking. For a second, it looked like that was going to be a late call ball. But that one right down the middle. Beautiful strike. And got Somm looking. 3 pitches. And the backwards K. 1 runner left on base for the Cardinal, but they tie that hit record that you mentioned. 14 hits now on the day for the Stanford Cardinal. They're still comfortably in the lead, 7-1. So we will go to the top of the 9th. The Trojans' last opportunity to try to even this out and send it to extras, and they've got a lot of work to do. We'll be back with you shortly. Hello, everybody, and welcome back. Top of the 9th inning, Stanford in the lead, 7-1. 14 hits on the day for the Cardinal, just 3 for the Trojans, and out to finish the job, number 18, Cassius Thomas on the mound for the Cardinal. Thomas today, 1 full inning pitched. First pitch hit high and deep to left field, and under it is McDonald. So first pitch, and 1 out already now. USC down to their final 2 outs on the day. Now number 13, Ryan Jackson, the shortstop, will come up to the plate.
Exactly how you want to start that inning off.
Absolutely, and efficient. Cassius Thomas has certainly been. He faced 3 batters in the 8th inning and retired them all. And now make that 4 with the leadoff fly out to left field, and Thomas trying to finish this off here for the Cardinal. What a day here for the Stanford Cardinal.
Yeah, a little bit of everything's been clicking for Stanford today, exactly how you would want to see them bounce back from that loss last night. Got good pitching throughout. Again, situational hitting. A little bit of aggression on the base paths as well. We've seen the good defense there, too.
Yep, see this carry into tomorrow if you're the Cardinal, and actually typical of what we've seen throughout the whole season, really, for USC. Across all of the games, they've only been able to string together a 2-game win streak. USC, of course, winning yesterday, and then it's not looking good so far in this 9th inning for them, but momentum is everything in baseball, and if Cardinal can carry this momentum into that Sunday game tomorrow, especially with how many pitchers we've seen out of USC today, that'll be something.
Like a fan from Redwood City got that ball as a souvenir.
Full count here to Jackson. Here's the pitch. Swinging a pop-up to first base. Nadai is under it. And that's 2 outs now for the Cardinal, and now coming up to the plate. Number 20, Chris Brown. Brown, the graduate student transfer from UConn, will be the final hope here for the Trojans to stay alive. Outside, very quiet in this stadium suddenly. Everybody holding their breath despite the 6-run lead here for the Cardinal. 1-0 the count. Here's the pitch. Swinging a high fly ball that's got some distance under it. Bouncing and bouncing off of the wall. Barehanding it out in center field is Hod. He'll get that relay in quickly. And the Trojans stay alive. A double here. A 2-out double for the Trojans.
Yeah, that's a strong piece of hitting there by Chris Brown. That one left a little too far up by Cassius Thomas. And tell you what, Brown, he didn't miss that one at all.
No.
109 off the bat.
Once again, the deepest part of the yard. And if it had gone anywhere else, once again, I think we would have said goodbye to that. But beautiful piece of defense there from Hod to barehand that and get that relay in quickly. Runner in scoring position now, a 2-out situation as Ethan Hedges, number 15, is up to the plate for the Trojans. Hedges struck out in the second, flied out first base in the fourth, and grounded out to second base in the seventh. 0 for 3 on the day. Now he comes up, 1 on, 2 outs. Here's the pitch. Just misses. 1-0 the count now.
Tell you what, that was one of the harder hit balls of the day for USC, too.
It absolutely was. Just the 4th hit of the day for USC. Stanford, not only their bats have been on full display here, but the pitching on full display. And, of course, Cassius Thomas on the mound right now, but not enough to be said about how well Christian Lim performed today. What a performance he was able to put together. 7 innings, 6 strikeouts, and a strike there. 2-1 the count now.
Well, again, it's if you're Stanford and David Esker, that's what you want to see. Technically, I know he had the loss, but Matt Scott had a good outing yesterday. Now you see Christian Lim have a good one, and now you want to see if maybe you can get a third one out of the start tomorrow for Stanford as well, when they more than likely throw Nick Dugan out as well. So, again, you want to see, can you get 3 starts in a row that really look well, then, of course, have that timely hitting like we've seen today.
2 strikes. Just misses outside. Full count now. Top of the 9th, 1 on, 2 outs. 3-2 the count. The stands trying to rally behind Cassius Thomas, but they've been baking in the sun for so long, I think their energy might be gone.
It's not that hot.
Thomas, here's the payoff. Outside, and he walked him. So Hedges takes the walk, and now suddenly a 2-out rally starting to form for the Trojans. Now coming to play number 16, Carpentier, the first baseman for the Trojans. He's 0 for 3 on the day as well.
I'll tell you what, though, I like this right now for Stanford. There's nobody in the bullpen, nobody stirring. Again, you have the 6-run lead, so you might take a little mound visit here just to settle down Cassius Thomas a little bit. But he's pitched into a little bit of trouble here. Now let him pitch his way out of it.
Yep, you mentioned this is the type of situation for a young player to learn how to work their way through, right?
Absolutely.
So visit to the mound, what do you imagine is being said here? Calm down, you've got some leeway, 6 runs, just focus in on the batter and don't worry about those base runners?
I think that's what it is. Again, there's not too much that you want to overcoach right now, right? And it's just more so of, hey, look, think about what you did. You had 5 hitters come up, you retired 5 of them in a row before you got to that double, then the walk. So it's just settle down. All that matters right now is what's going on between you and Malcolm Moore. So you can go ahead and get this final out.
All right, the huddle is broken up here by home plate umpire Christopher Gonzalez. And Dean Carpentier will try to keep this 2-out rally going for the Trojans, as Cassius Thomas will try to lock this game down. 2 outs now. Cardinal in the lead, 7-1, top of the 9th.
Ooh.
And pitch thrown definitely accidentally, but right at the head of Dean Carpentier.
Yeah, I don't think Cassius was very certain that hit Carpentier in the helmet. I just got the top of it at 94. It's usually pretty dangerous to see, but it seems like I think it just kind of grazed off of it a bit, so he's okay, relatively speaking.
Yeah, for a moment it looked like it maybe even popped off of Moore's mitt.
I think that's what Cassius thought too.
Yeah, but that sound really sounded like it came off the helmet. So a base on balls, and now suddenly
there you go.
Base is loaded, and there you go, first pitch strike, as you said. 0-1 the count now, full base is loaded. Carson Wells, number 9, stands in. The left fielder, 0 for 3 on the day. And that one just missing, much to the disagreement of the stands here, and also Jordan, it seems.
Yeah, well, sometimes that's what happens when you can be a little bit erratic the last few hitters. You might not get that benefit of the doubt behind home plate.
1-1 the count now. Cassius Thomas delivers just outside. Well, a little more than just outside. 2-1.
And you just think about it. I think that had that 0-1 pitch happens before the walk and the hit by pitch, maybe you see that get a strike 2 call. There
Swinging
you go.
A bouncing ball. Thomas will field it. He'll flip it to Nadi, and that's it. So Thomas gets out of a bit of a jam in the top of the 9th, and that is it for today. The Stanford Cardinal take it 7-1. So these two teams have split this series now. USC taking game number 1, Cardinal taking game number 2, and we'll be back tomorrow, Sunday, first pitch, 1 p.m. for game number 3. But before we head on out, let's take a dive back into this game. What's been the difference here between last night and today for the Cardinal? It seems like it's really just been different all around.
Well, again, overall, you got to give credit again to the pitching staff for Stanford. You look at this, it all started off with Christian Lim. Now, 7 innings of work where he only gave up 1 earned run and the 3 hits. So just even from there, you got the good start, but also at the plate, you got a good start. We saw USC last game. They were the team that got the run in that first inning. Now Stanford and their chance to do that. And, of course, you talk about the confidence builder. That gives you the mound where you get that run support right away. That's exactly what Stanford was able to offer. And, again, we talked about it, 14 hits for them in total. They sprayed them all around the whole game. They were able to connect here and there with some good at-bats and some plate appearances as well. And that was all the difference for them today.
All right, the Cardinal take it 7-1, 14 hits compared to USC's 4. Just 1 error on the day for the Stanford Cardinal, none for the Trojans. And we'll miss you tomorrow, Jordan. You will not be with us, but we will be back here tomorrow, like I said, 1 p.m. first pitch. And a big thank you to everybody here who put this on today, this whole production. It takes a lot of people. We'd like to thank the director, Sierra Miller, technical director, Yosef Gabra Kidham, the Schrader, Julian, Riga, Replay, Frank Lee, Russell, DeSandre, Graphics, Frederick Lee, Cameras, who showed you all of the things, the random things we were talking about and more, all of the wonderful camera angles. Sam Hudson, Dan Sherry, Peyton Jenks, and James Pearsall, and of course the producer Ethan Cardoza, and for Sarah Ash here on commentary, and Jordan Watkins. Thank you, everybody. We will see you tomorrow for that final game of this series, 1 p.m. first pitch. Have a good night.